An island for all. I can add attributes to everything. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76 Magic Iron Ore. Sube was stunned. Fella. There are actually mineral veins on his island. Although the scale is small, it is always a harvest. Sube said. Where is it? Og led the way and walked all the way to the edge of the island. Seeing this, Sube knew the small magic iron ore mentioned by Og is not the one that came with the initial island, but was fused into the island together with the fragments after using the fragments of the heart of the island before. This can also explain why the Earth Spirit and the Gem Cat have not been found. There is an area that only appeared today, and even if there is no time to transfer the plants, how can you find the magic iron ore underneath? But now that the ore has been discovered, the planting has to be put aside first. Dig out the ore. As for magic iron ore, Sube knew this is a kind of black iron grade ore, which is often seen in the island world as 5 or 7, and its biggest feature is its hardness. Weapons made of magic iron are extremely sharp and can be called cutting iron like mud. It is used to make armor and is durable, and it is not difficult to carry the attacks of monsters of the same level. If other rare metals are added to the magic iron, higher quality alloys can be smelted, and various properties can be improved. While thinking about it, Augur stood on the edge of the island, then leaned over and grabbed a handful of soil to study, and then said with certainty, Island Master, it is here. About 5 meters underground, which is about 3,000 caddies. Sube asked, is this weight ore or magic iron? Ore or magic iron, the difference is very big. If it is the former, then 3,000 kilograms of ore can be smelted into a few hundred kilograms of magic iron ingots, which is considered lucky. Fortunately, Augur gave the answer Sube wanted. Back to the island owner. It is magic iron. If you count the ore, the total amount is almost 40,000 kilograms. Sube nodded. 40,000 caddies sounds like a lot, but in fact it is only 20 tons. This amount of ore can be towed away by a Blue Star pickup truck, which is really not much. In this way, Augur said that the scale was not large before, which was already very euphemistic. It's not that big. There is absolutely no scale. If it was in the kingdom of dwarves, it is estimated that no one would pick up such a bit of magic iron thrown on the ground. Sube is not so picky. His island is in its infancy, and he has made a lot of money by picking up 3,000 caddies of magic iron for nothing. If nothing else, at least build dozens of pieces of equipment to play with, without any difficulty. But Sube thought of another way to deal with it. All of them are made into arrows, and with the oblique moon bow, Juan Menayu's strength can be improved to a higher level. Before the steel bamboo is harvested, these magic iron arrows should be enough. Concentrating his mind, Sube called the Earth Spirit over and asked it to find the magic iron ore underground, and then disperse the soil layer, exposing the magic iron ore. The magic iron ore has a dull dark green fluorescence, and it feels cold to the hand. With the efforts of the Earth Spirits and Rock Soldiers, the magic iron ore was transferred to the blacksmith shop, waiting for subsequent smelting. Taking advantage of this time, Sube said to Juan Menayu and Augur, after smelting this batch of magic iron ore, all the arrows will be made. Menayu, discuss with Augur to determine the specifications of the arrows. Yes. Juan Menayu and Augur quickly agreed. After finishing the work here, Dulane stepped forward and said, Island owner, this time I went to enchant the island and harvested 5 bronze-level plants, which are relatively rare mysterious bird indus. In addition, there are a total of 87 black iron plants, all of which are sand vines. Finally, there are common plants, mostly rye. Augur interjected next to him, Islander, we grow those ryes and want to make ale. Sube nodded. Not surprisingly, dwarves have 3 hobbies. Prospecting, ironing, drinking. For dwarves, it is okay not to eat, but definitely not to drink. Thinking of this, Su Bei thought that he would find Shen Qingling and ask about the fire spirit recruitment scroll. Come back with some spirits. Collecting his thoughts, Su Bei waved Zhuan Menaiu and Dogger to work separately, while he and Du Ling came to the newly acquired plant. The focus is on the 5 phoenix sycamores. This is good stuff. There is a saying that the phoenix does not live in the phoenix tree. In the island world, although humans have not confirmed the existence of the phoenix. But some fire-type birds are not uncommon. For example, the blackbird. Their attack method is fire-breathing balls, which are powerful, comparable to high-explosive grenades. And it is very human. If it can be tamed, it will become a very good combat partner. Blackbirds usually only build their nests on blackbird sycamore. In fact, the reason why the blackbird phoenix tree is called this name is because the blackbird perches. Su Bei also did not expect that he would harvest this plant. Coming under the blackbird indus, Su Bei became more and more satisfied. They are all mature trees, and the canopy is very lush, and they are fully equipped for nesting conditions. The next thing to do is to wait quietly. If a blackbird passes by, it may leave a nest and reproduce. When the time comes to swipe an entry to fix it, Su Bei's strength can be improved again. As long as a pair of blackbirds descended on the island, new blackbirds would be produced continuously. In this way, if you encounter flying monsters in the future, you will no longer be afraid. A volley of fireballs can knock out the opponent. This trip to the Magic Island is full of surprises. While thinking about it, Su Bei looked at the 5 mysterious bird indus and refreshed them in batches. 3 alternative entries, 1 green and 1 blue. Not bad. The focus is on the blue entries. Call of Fire, excellent grade, which gives the blackbird indus a chance to attract more advanced fire-type spirit beasts, and the item level is upgraded to silver middle grade. This entry is not bad. Su Bei is going to find time to fix it. There is only one chance to fix the entry today, so take it easy. Immediately, Su Bei looked at the sand vine next to him. This black iron class plant will not bloom or bear fruit. Their main purpose is to absorb wind and sand and reduce soil erosion. There is no need to take special care. The sand vine is very tenacious. Can be planted on the edge of the island. As soon as you refresh it, there are 3 white entries. Su Bei immediately turned his head to the side. I really can't see it. After checking the newly acquired plants, Su Bei opened the friend list and contacted Shen Qingling. Is there a fire spirit recruitment scroll in the special event 2.5 group? Shen Qingling's reply was as simple and efficient as always, yes, but not many. Su Bei understood. The subtext is that the price is relatively high. After thinking about it, Su Bei came to the newly built equipment warehouse, took a photo and sent it to Shen Qingling. Is this enough? Shen Qingling's eyes are so vicious. Just from the photos, he can see clues, and he quickly sent a reply. This is equipment made by dwarves. You actually met a dwarf? Su Bei smiled slightly, thinking that I had not only met a dwarf, but also picked up one. However, he wouldn't say anything about it. He just replied, I met a few dwarves passing by boat and bought some equipment from them. On the other side, Shen Qingling was a little stunned. Does this work too? What kind of luck this guy is? It's too good. Advertisement Chapter 77, Fire Spirit Recruitment Scroll, Rising Fire. Shen Qingling quickly calmed down. She didn't ask whether Su Bei met the passing dwarf. Whether it is true or false. Su Bei said so. She just listened. Taking a step back. Even if Su Bei took the dwarves home and robbed them of their warehouse, so what? It can only be said that Su Bei is very capable. What Shen Qingling has to do is to evaluate the value of these equipment and give a reasonable price. Let's see how many fire spirit recruitment scrolls can be exchanged. However, Shen Qingling couldn't help slandering secretly. What kind of dwarf would put so much equipment on the ship? Find a reason and find a reliable one. After calming down, Shen Qingling asked, what grades are these equipments? 35. When the new warehouse was built to transfer equipment, the rock soldiers had been placed separately according to different grades. There are a total of 127 pieces of equipment. The lowest is the middle grade black iron, and the largest number is 70 pieces. As for the low grade black iron, Su Bei is estimated to have been rebuilt by the dwarves. In addition, There are 34 pieces of high-grade black iron equipment and 19 pieces of black iron top-grade equipment. The most valuable ones belong to the 4 bronze lower grades. These are from the armory. As for what the dead dwarves wore, Subei did not move, but was buried together. The recovered ones are already valuable, so why bother the dead? Of course, if all the dwarves on the island were wiped out at that time, Subei would have to be a villain and bring back all the equipment. But there's an og, and that's out of place. After Subei sent the grade and quantity of the equipment to Shen Qingling sent the price quickly. This is equipment made by dwarves, and it is more expensive than ordinary equipment. Generally speaking, the middle-grade black iron equipment is 100,000 pieces, the top-grade equipment is 150,000. And the top-grade equipment is 200,000. As for the bronze-grade equipment, the price is not easy to estimate, but the minimum is 500,000. The price is incredible. Subei did the math. Even if it is calculated according to the minimum standard, the total value of these more than 100 pieces of equipment is 18 million. Outrageous. But on the other hand, buying equipment is a one-time investment. As long as it is not blasted, it can be used for a long time. It's normal to be expensive. Moreover, these equipments are still from the hands of dwarves, they are well known in the entire island world, and they are worth this price. The benefits of advanced equipment, Subei has experienced firsthand. The Longian saber in his hand is a low-grade silver, and in just a few days, he has already helped him kill a large number of enemies. If it were a bronze level or even black iron level weapon, it would have shattered long ago. The equipment in Subei's hands is mainly black iron, which may not be of high value to experienced island owners. But the apprentice island owner can use it. Subei hangs these equipment in the trading center, and can exchange for many special plants. But he did not do so, but was ready to package and sell it to the special team. Compared to plants, Subei now wants a few fire spirits to help Og get the blacksmith up. A piece of black iron equipment is more than 10 or 200,000, which is too huge. And as long as the materials are in place, Augur can create bronze-level equipment, which is more valuable. In Subei's heart, Augur had already become a boy of good fortune, radiating golden light all over his body. Collecting his thoughts, Subei replied, "These equipment can be exchanged for several fire spirit recruitment scrolls." Shen Qingling replied, "Huoling is an elemental creature of silver quality. The price is extremely high. A scroll costs 5 million, and I can help you apply for 4 scrolls for your equipment." Subei secretly took a deep breath. "Man, the money's going to be emptied before it's heated up." The island owner is indeed the same as the public evaluation. Making money is like running water, and spending money is like breaking a bank. Anyway, it was a huge sum of nearly 20 million. And it was gone in a breath. More than 100 pieces of equipment were exchanged for 4 recruitment scrolls. However, for the follow-up development of the blacksmith shop, Subei felt that the money had to be spent. Resisting the heartache, Subei asked, "When will the recruiting scrolls be ready? Soon?" Shen Qingling replied, "It's ready." Immediately, Shen Qingling explained, "I am now fully responsible for the contacts with you. The authority of the Special Affairs team has been increased, and items below the gold level can be directly transferred. The Fire Spirit Recruitment Scroll is at the silver level, which is within Shen Qingling's authority." Subei directly opened the trading bar and placed the equipment on it. Although there are a lot of these equipments, he has checked them before and none of them are suitable for him. Besides, if you want equipment, you can directly ask Augur to customize it. A bronze-level equipment is much stronger than a patchwork of black iron-level equipment. On the other side, Shen Qingling also placed 4 fire spirit recruitment scrolls. After the transaction was confirmed, the warehouse became empty. However, Subei believes that with Og's efforts, the place will soon be enriched again. Subei was about to close the chat bar when Shen Qingling sent another message. "Your dark fruit is about to ripen. Are you selling it?" Shen Qingling reminded Subei. Originally, as expected, the dark fruit still has 4 or 5 days to mature. But because Subei's island rating exceeded 500 stars before, and the speed of plant growth has been accelerated, The dark fruit is close to maturity. It is even said that it is ripe and ready to be picked at any time. However, there are 3 dark trees to be harvested, and 2 have no fixed entries, and the fruits can only awaken E-level abilities. Can't sell the price. Tsubei plans to continue to refresh tomorrow and the day after. As long as there is a rare entry, the rank can be upgraded to the lower rank of silver, and the dark fruit will become a D-rank fruit. Now that Shen Qingling asked, Tsubei pondered for a moment and replied, "There is a plan to sell it. By the way, is the D-level supernatural fruit within your authority?" Seeing this sentence, Shen Qingling knew what Tsubei meant, and replied, "Do you want to exchange for a supernatural fruit? What attributes do you want?" Tsubei replied, "The wind element." He has a storm strawberry in his hand, and the entry has been fixed, and the fruit that will be produced later can awaken the C-level wind power. But it's been a while. It would be better to obtain the D-level wind type power fruit from the special affairs team first, and let Zhuan Menyu complete the awakening. Consume storm strawberries later to increase the power of the power. Moreover, mastering the wind power can also increase the speed, which is very suitable for the entry of Ranger. If you are not smart and elegant, how can you be called a ranger? While thinking about it, Shen Qingling sent a positive reply, "No problem. Normally, the fruit of supernatural powers can be exchanged 1-to-1, but your dark fruit is very effective, and the special affairs team will add a bronze-level plant." 5. This is a surprise. Tsubei replied, "Okay, tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, the dark fruit will ripen, and I will contact you at that time." "No problem." Turning off the chat bar, Tsubei looked at the fire spirit recruitment scroll in his hand. After thinking about it, use batch refresh directly. At this stage, the main role of the fire spirit is to help augmentors. The furnace needs to be as stable as possible, and the 4 fire spirits should preferably be of the same quality, so as to control the energy output. Refresh. 3 Candidate entries, 2 570 blue and 1 blue. Luck is not bad, at least 1 excellent entry. Rise of fire, excellent level, greatly increase the temperature of the flame, and upgrade the item level to the lowest level of gold. After pondering for a moment, Tsubei immediately settled down, and immediately used all 4 recruitment scrolls. The shape of the fire spirit is very similar to that of the water spirit, and it is a throbbing flame. Name, fire spirit potential, gold lower current level, black iron lower skills, 1, flame breath, 2, fire element affinity entry: rising fire, excellent loyalty: 100. The 4 fire spirits all have the quality of the gold rank, although only the black iron rank is only recruited at the beginning, but after continuous growth, they will eventually grow to the gold rank. At that time, even if they had no attack skills, they could defeat many enemies with just the high temperature. But it will take a long time to grow to the gold level. In a short period of time, it is impossible to count on their combat power. Tsubei brought the fire spirit to the blacksmith shop. Hong was swinging his hammer to find his touch. After seeing the fire spirits, he immediately showed a surprised smile and said quickly, "Lord Island Master, you are really amazing. You found the fire spirits so quickly, and there are still 4. 5. Immediately, Augur was surprised. "Why are these fire spirits different from what I know? The flame intensity is too high." Augur rubbed his hands excitedly and said, "This is just right. With these 4 little guys here, I feel like I can create a bronze middle grade equipment." After some words, Tsubei's expression became more and more satisfied. Bronze middle grade equipment, selling for 700,000 or 800,000 is not too much. Even if it takes a few days to build one, it is quite a considerable profit. Advertisement. Chapter 78. Chatting at the dinner table, Tsubei also thought that 7 times a day to fix the entry should be enough. After all, it was 3 times at the beginning, and he still arranged it in an orderly manner. But it turned out that he was too optimistic. It's just noon now, and all 7 opportunities have been used up. But after careful consideration, the fixation of these entries is of relatively high priority. The only thing that could be questionable is Storm Strawberry. After all, the Storm Strawberry is only a seedling now, and even if the entry is fixed, It will take a while for it to mature and bear fruit. The other 6 opportunities cannot be delayed. The heart of the island fragment increases the size of the island, so the sooner it is done, the better. Even if the dark fruit is not fixed today, it must be fixed tomorrow so that the fruit can be harvested in exchange for the required resources. Moshwangwa and Ziobing are a set, and they are indispensable. The last dwarf augur and the 4 fire spirits must also use the entry to fix the chance. After doing this, Sube was relieved. Good steel is used on the blade, so there is nothing to tangle. While thinking about it, Du Ling called out from a distance. Lunch is ready. Sube stepped forward, and when he passed the blacksmith shop, he called Augur, and contacted Zhuan Menaiu to let her return from Blue Star. The crowd sat down at the table. Sube looked at the other 3 with a little pride in his heart. His island has initially embarked on a high-speed development track, and the next thing to do is to maintain the rhythm and further expand its advantages. Sube picked up the glass of juice and said, "Everything is difficult at the beginning. It is not yet time for us to relax. After a while, we will drink and celebrate." 5 Du Ling and the 3 also knew this truth, and they all laughed and agreed. Everyone drank the juice, and their hearts were filled with infinite heroism. Sube regarded Du Ling and others as partners, and chatted while eating. "Menaiu, don't be in a hurry to return to Blue Star this afternoon. Discuss with Augur to determine the specifications of the arrows, and tomorrow I will find the special affairs team to exchange some wind-type supernatural fruits." Of the 6 dark trees that Sube has in hand, 3 have been ripened and picked. Among the remaining 3 trees, one has the poison of weakness fixed, and it will be able to harvest D-rank fruits tomorrow. And the other 2, if there is no suitable entry tomorrow, you have to wait. Fortunately, the dark tree now has 13 fruits. Think it is enough. Before Du Ling used 4 dark fruit to complete the awakening. Although Zhuan Menaiu's entry was a little worse, she would definitely succeed with intent. In this way, even if the other 2 trees cannot be picked tomorrow, there is no big problem. In any case, the total revenue remains the same. But Zhuan Menaiu's awakening, the sooner the better. In Sube's arrangement, even if Zhuan Menaiu awakened her powers, she would still maintain her current fighting method. Just need a little modification. Attach the ability to the arrow. The magic iron ore obtained in the morning just came in handy, and all of them were cast into arrows. When Zhuan Menaiu heard this, she immediately understood that this was to awaken her to become a superhuman. I thought I would have to wait for a while, but I didn't expect the island owner to care about her so much, and even exchanged the dark fruit in exchange. Zhuan Menaiu immediately stated, "Island owner, rest assured, I will definitely live up to your expectations." Sube waved his hand and said, "It's all my own, so don't be too open-minded." 35 After pondering for a moment, Sube continued, "Og, you have special abilities now. When you forge arrows in the afternoon, you might as well try it out to see if you can strengthen the equipment according to your own ideas." 35 In fact, Sube didn't say anything about it, and Augur would take the initiative to bring it up. He is not very clear about the existence of the entry, but he can also feel that there is a brand new power in his body. Make him more handy for forging equipment. It was still strange at first, but now I heard Sube talk about it, and I immediately knew that this was the mysterious method of the island owner. Augur felt more and more unpredictable. Sube nodded and said, "Island owner, rest assured, I will pay attention." Sube nodded and continued, "After casting the magic iron ore into arrows, you can make a piece of equipment for Du Ling and Menaiu. Just tell me what materials you need." Immediately, Sube looked at Du Ling and Zhuan Menaiu. "For your equipment requirements, please communicate with Augur in time." Although the situation may seem calm, Sube knows that the crisis in the island world never stops. Those demonized creatures retreated, but only temporarily. And if they don't come, there are regular monsters that will land on the island. For this reason, Du Ling and Zhuan Menaiu's defenses must be full. With Augur there, it must be armed to the teeth. For Sube's arrangement, the 3 of Augur have no objection. Augur rubbed his hands together, and said a little embarrassedly, "Lord Island Master, can you lend me your saber to look at it? I think I can get some inspiration and create better equipment. In fact, as early as the beginning, Og had this idea when he saw Sube slashing the obsidian giant with one knife. It's just that the following series of things are too busy to touch the ground. Now that I have some free time, and to build new equipment, Augur immediately put forward his request. In Sube's hands, the Longian sword is a weapon for slashing people. But in Augur's eyes, that is the lover of his dreams. Silver low-grade weapons, and the forging method is completely different from the craftsmanship of their dwarves. Augur was very greedy. He felt that if he could thoroughly understand the forging method of the Longian saber, he would definitely be able to create more sophisticated equipment. Sube naturally would not refuse Augur's request. Even happy. Such a hard-working dwarf can't let him chill. As for whether Sube would be in danger without the Longian sword, that would be purely overthinking. With his current strength, even if he doesn't take the Dragon Yin sword, he can knock down enemies below the silver level with one punch. While thinking about it, Sube took off the Longian sword and put it on the table. Augur suddenly felt that the food in his hand was not fragrant. He picked up the Longian knife and put it in front of him, Lizahao, to observe carefully, and at the same time muttered to himself, This kind of craft is really unheard of. How is it done? Arrived? Og looked at Sube with a burning gaze, and said, Sir, I don't know where the master who forged this weapon is. Could you please recommend me? 35 Sube coughed and said, I got it by accident. As for who forged it, I don't know. Strictly speaking, this sentence is not wrong. The predecessor of the Longian sword was an ordinary long sword, and it was only able to transform because of the entry, break armor. To ask Sube to find a blacksmith suddenly, it is really difficult for a strong man. Strange to find it. Augur was a little disappointed, but soon cheered up and said confidently, Master Island Master, give me a little time, I will definitely create equipment that is not inferior to the dragon's blade. Hearing this, Sube smiled brightly. Very good, a dwarf with pursuit. Advertisement Chapter 79 Testing the Magic Iron Arrow, Richard's information. After lunch, Og immediately rushed back to the blacksmith shop with the Longian knife. The 4 fire spirits are divided into 2 teams, and under the arrangement of the black-hearted boss Sube, they work in 2 shifts. 2 of them were resting, and the other 2 were dancing happily in the furnace. For Huoling, this terrible high temperature is like scratching a tickling. Not only will it not cause harm, but it will promote their growth. Divided into 2 teams for 2 shifts, but also to maximize energy stability. Of course, for Huoling, maintaining the furnace temperature is really not difficult. They don't even need to specifically output energy, and they can accomplish their goals just by their own temperature. On the one hand, the dwarf's furnace is ingeniously structured and has little heat loss. On the other hand, it is also because the grade of ore in Sube's hands is not high. The magic iron ore that is being smelted now is only black iron, and the newly born fire spirit can also meet the smelting requirements. When the rare ore is smelted in the future, the fire spirit needs to really exert its strength. When Sube and Zhuanmenyu came to the blacksmith shop, the magic iron solution flowed into the prefabricated mold along the groove of the furnace. After a puff of white smoke, 10 arrows took shape. However, it is rough and needs further polishing. The current mold is made temporarily. Because the specifications of the arrows used by Xuan 573 in March need to be adjusted, it is necessary to make high-precision molds and cast arrows in batches after they are determined. The arrows are cooled in the quenching oil, and the strength is increased again. Then he was picked up by Augur, the files and hammers went into battle, and the grinding was completed in just a few moments. Zhuanmenyu picked up one and waited for a moment, without saying anything. She just put 10 magic iron arrows into the quiver and came to the open space beside the blacksmith shop. 100 meters away, the earth spirit has raised a clod to serve as a target. The bow and arrow were drawn, and the oblique moon bow was pulled to the maximum. Immediately, Zhuanmenyu released her hand, and the magic iron arrow instantly crossed a distance of 100 meters, smashing the clods in the distance. The castration continued unabated. Keegan plunged into the soil, and then stopped. So, sharp. Juan Menaiu was a little surprised. She used Blue Star's alloy arrows before, made of top-notch materials. All data are excellent. But in front of the magic iron arrow, no slag was left. The other thing is to say, the key is this penetrating power. It is really terrible. Juan Menaiu was very sure that if there were magic iron arrows in the previous battle, none of those giant pincer crabs would want to land. As long as it emerges from the sea, it will be penetrated by the carapace, destroying the nerves. Sube and Augur were onlookers, but did not speak. Juan Menaiu adjusted her breathing and shot all the remaining 9 magic iron arrows in one breath. Then he closed his eyes and recalled the feeling of the hand just now, and said, "It's a little light, mainly arrows, it should be heavier to enhance the penetration." Hearing this, Augur was not angry, but said in surprise, "Miss Juan, you are really strong." 99 From Augur's point of view, Juan Menaiu is just an ordinary human, and she has not even awakened her supernatural powers. So when he built the test arrows, he dropped some weight. It can be regarded as taking care of Juan Menaiu. But he didn't know that Juan Menaiu had the entry, ranger, and the basic attributes were much higher than ordinary people. Therefore, after testing, Juan Menaiu found that the weight of the magic iron arrow was not enough to achieve the desired effect. Sube briefly explained the reason, and Augur nodded immediately and said, "It turned out to be the magical method of the island owner. I understand, please wait a moment." After speaking, Augur ran back to the blacksmith shop and modified the previous grinding tools. Introduce fell iron solution to forge arrows. Ding ding dang dang. The second batch of arrows was put into the quiver by Juan Menaiu. It was followed by another quick 10-shot. This time, the distance that the magic iron arrow nailed into this oil was even deeper. Juan Menaiu made some revisions. In addition to the weight, there is the length and diameter of the magic iron arrow, as well as the angle of the tail. These all increase the final damage of fell iron arrows. In this way, the third batch of test arrows was released again. But before Juan Menaiu started the shooting test, Sube pointed to the beach in the distance and said, "There is a giant claw crab there." Hearing this, Juan Menaiu suddenly regained her spirits, jumped to a high place a few steps, and locked onto the giant pincer crab that had just landed. This guy, BHCF, was apparently attracted to attack the heart of the island. But before it waved its pliers to release its force, it felt a chill in its head. The magic iron arrow penetrated through the mouth parts of the giant pincer crab, flew out from the tail, and disappeared into the sea. In the process, the kinetic energy attached to the magic iron arrow has destroyed the nerves of the giant pincer crab, and even its back armor has dense cracks. Bang. The giant claws fell to the ground and died on the spot. Juan Menaiu immediately made a decision, "Uncle Augur, just use arrows of this size." Augur patted his chest and said, "Okay, leave it to me, it will definitely be finished before dinner." Seeing that things were done, Juan Menaiu looked at Sube and said, "Lord Island Master, I will go back to Blue Star to continue handling company affairs." Sube nodded, "Be careful." Seeing that Augur started to swing the hammer, Juan Menaiu went back to Blue Star to do errands, and duly counted the plants in the distance. Sube suddenly realized that he had become the most leisurely person on the island. After thinking about it, Sube opened the newcomer chat area and trading center, ready to find some valuable items. For example, the magic island coordinate jade. He had already experienced the value of this thing twice. It's the perfect way to get rich. As for the danger, standing still is the greatest danger. In this island world, only by maintaining the momentum of triumph can we ensure that we are always in an advantageous position. It's just that the coordinate jade is obviously a rare resource. Anyway, Sube watched the trading center for a long time, but he didn't even notice a shadow. Glancing at the chat area, many new faces chatted there. The pain caused by the storm event is gradually easing. Richard is still so detached, and looks like he is pointing the country. However, from the words of other people, Sube found that this product is still a little famous. It has become the star of hope of the Lighthouse Country. Mainly this year's newcomers, the Lighthouse Country is really pulling the crotch except Richard. There are a few that developed well, but unfortunately died in the storm, causing heavy losses to the consortium that invested in them. Richard is also the second apprentice island owner this year, and his strength and luck are worthy of recognition. Many newcomers to the lighthouse country regard him as the leading brother, and there is much flattery in their words. Play the banner of overtaking Subay. Subay didn't even bother to pay attention to these people. His current island rating is about to reach 1,000 stars, while Richard has not even reached 200. The gap is too big. But just when Subay was about to close the newcomer chat area, he saw a red dot flashing in the friend list. When I opened it, it turned out to be a message from Richard. Subay was careless. After completing the transaction before, I forgot to delete this item. But looking at Storm Strawberry's face, Subay decided to see what Richard wanted to say. If he talks nonsense, just block it. Subay secretly said. Opening the chat bar, Subay saw the message from Richard. I caught a flower fairy. How much dark fruit are you going to exchange? Advertisement. Chapter 80. Haggling is about to cut to the bone. Subay pondered for a while and wondered whether Richard was the chosen one. Even a rare race like the flower fairy can be encountered. Subay obtained some bright pearls from the sharks, and he was blessed by the Book of Luck. As a result, Richard actually met first. Is this reasonable? However, Richard said he caught it, so Subay guessed that it was the flower goblin who got lost in the storm and wandered to Richard's island, and unfortunately fell into the clutches. Restraining his mind, Subay replied, "Shut, how much dark and fruit do you want?" 35. Although the flower fairies have low combat power, the nectar wine they brew is powerful. The batch of golden pink roses on Subay Island has not been picked yet. It was originally intended to be sold to high-end hotels for decoration, or to be kept by their own company as decorations. Now that there is news of the flower fairy, it is natural to find a way to get the flower fairy and brew rose wine with gold powder roses. However, Subay would not take the initiative to bid, but waited for Richard to jump into the pit himself. Naturally, Richard would not be polite and quoted a number. 20 dark fruit. Subay replied directly, "No way." Richard, on the other end, was still confident, and he felt that the price was not high. As a result, Subay's answer was so brief that Richard wanted to close the chat bar directly. But after taking a look at the grinning flower fairy, Richard held back and replied, "Think clearly, this is a rare flower fairy, and buying 20 dark fruit will definitely not be a loss." 99. Subay sneered twice. Normally, it's definitely not a loss. But the current situation is not normal. Subay didn't show any mercy to Richard, and replied directly to expose the other party. That flower fairy hates you to the core, let alone brewing nectar for you. It would be good if you didn't call your companions to attack. Although, the flower fairies are not a fighting race, they have many allies, and you can't stop just two fierce ones. Richard, you couldn't hold back your greed, you grabbed the flower fairy, and now you want to throw this hot potato to me, and you want to exchange 20 dark fruits. Do you think I'm stupid? Subay wanted a flower fairy, but he wouldn't let go so easily. Richard made a fool of himself and grabbed the flower fairy by violent means, just stretching his neck and reaching under Subay's knife. If this does not cut the price to the end, it is really sorry for Richard's kindness. Also, Subay is right. The flower fairies themselves are not good enough, but they have many friends, and they are many. In addition to the island owners needing nectar to improve their strength, the native races of the island world also need it. In addition, the flower fairy has a beautiful face, a docile personality, and has a good relationship with the elves. The elves were the top races in the island world. To have revenge with them is to seek death. Richard and the flower fairy are already in an irreconcilable state, and the situation is very embarrassing. He can only sell the flower fairy to other island owners, and he certainly cannot keep it. Otherwise, the flower fairy will shake people if there is a chance, and beat Richard with a big bag. But Richard couldn't kill the flower fairy. This little guy has the ability to mark the soul, and will leave a mark on the enemy, attracting his companions to come and take revenge. Killing one is tantamount to enmity with all the flower fairies in the island world. No matter how daring Richard was, he would not dare to do so. The island owner who did this in history, the grass on the grave is 2 meters high. Thinking of this, Subay sent another reply to Richard, You are also uneasy and kind when you contact me, and you want to trick me with a flower fairy. Richard inked for a long time, then sent the message again. How come? We are friends. Sue Bay sneered twice. This Richard is really cunning. Passing the flower fairy to him can not only get the desired dark fruit, but also use the flower fairy to dig a hole. But Sue Bay was not afraid of the pit Richard dug, and replied, 5 dark fruits, trade tomorrow, love or not. Haggling is to cut to the bone. From 20 to 5, Sue Bay felt no problem. Richard reluctantly had to agree. Who dares to take over the flower fairy in a half-mad state? Even senior island owners have to weigh in. After he finished speaking, he just turned off the chat bar, and even though Richard's information was mad, he didn't bother to watch it. Richard on the other end was so angry that his nose was crooked after he sent several messages without responding, and he wanted to block Sue Bay directly. But after hesitating for a long time, he finally showed a sullen look on his face. To be honest, Richard now regrets catching this flower fairy. The benefits are not obtained, and there are endless troubles. After a long time, Richard finally convinced himself. 5 dark fruits are 5. As long as you can cultivate a supernatural power user, that's what you earn. Sue Bay. Sue Bay, this hot potato depends on how you digest it. While thinking about it, Cole asked next to him, Islander, did the people of the Dragon Kingdom agree? When Richard saw Cole, he was also annoyed. It was this bald middle-aged man who encouraged him to capture the flower fairy. Ask for flowers. Richard wanted the dark fruit, on the one hand to cultivate new power users, and on the other hand to help Cole awaken stronger powers. After the previous storm events, the relationship between Richard and the Russ Consortium and the White House Consortium fell into a freezing point, and he could only cultivate and consolidate his own team. As a result, Cole was unsatisfactory, and the 3D level dark fruits went down. There was still a little gap before the promotion, and more dark fruits were needed. Richard is so pissed. He only used 4 dark fruits for his own awakening, and Cole, as a power user who has been awakened for a long time, used 3 dark fruits without upgrading. Richard felt cheated. But he couldn't turn his face. He could only find Sue Bay and try to get a new dark fruit. Although the result was far from what was expected, Richard could only admit it. Before contacting Sue Bay, he had already communicated with many trainee island owners. But no one dared to take over the flower fairy. Even the senior island owner began to pretend to be confused after hearing about the situation. No matter how Richard sells it, he just won't let go. In the end, Richard could only find Sue Bay. While thinking, Richard heard a shrill voice drifting over from the side, full of resentment. Human, just wait, at most 2 days. My companions will find this place and raze it to the ground. Not far from Richard, in the delicate cage, a little guy was screaming constantly. She is the flower fairy, because the storm has fallen to the vicinity. Then Richard was caught. When Richard heard the words of the flower fairy, his face was blue, and he found a black cloth from the side to cover the cage. Make decisions at the same time. Sell the flower fairy to Sue Bay. Only with the help of the remote teleportation of the island world, the scent of the flower fairy can be erased. Otherwise, if other flower fairies come over, things will be troublesome. But at the same time, Richard was also puzzled. What is Sue Bay going to do with this flower fairy? How to calm her anger? Giving gifts is definitely useless. The Meng Wang pearl, which Richard spent a lot of money on, had no effect at all, and was thrown to the ground by the flower fairy and shattered into pieces. He wanted to know how Sue Bay could solve this situation. Even if the scent of the flower fairy spreads out for the time being, it will be known by other native races sooner or later. At that time, how should Sue Bay respond? Richard thought about it for a long time, but couldn't think of a suitable way to deal with it. If there was a way, he wouldn't have such a headache. Advertisement. Chapter 81 Equipment Empowerment, Sharp Effect. Richard can't solve the hidden danger of the flower fairy, but it doesn't mean that Sue Bay can ''T. Once the entry is fixed, any hatred must be resolved. But today's entry fixed opportunities have been used up. Subei will not rashly trade the flower fairy. Just wait until midnight to reset. By the way, wait for the dark fruit to mature. In addition, only by hanging Richard can the flower fairy be bought for the price of 5 dark fruits. Otherwise, that kid would make a temporary price increase, which would be a hassle after all. After closing the chat bar, Subei called Du Ling over and said, "What materials are needed for the flower fairy to make nectar wine? You can make a list and send it to Menayu, and ask her to bring it with her when she comes back." 35 Du Ling agreed, and then asked, "Islander, are there any flower fairies coming to our island?" Du Ling's expression was expectant. She is also very interested in this rumored rare race. Of course, Subei guessed that the main reason for 577 is that the flower fairy can brew a unique nectar wine, which can beautify the skin. That should be Du Ling's main purpose. Collecting his thoughts, Subei smiled and said, "There will be one tomorrow." Du Ling said with relevance on her face, as expected of the island owner, even the flower fairy can be recruited. In Du Ling's view, this is not a big deal. After all, Subei can even recruit dwarves, so what if there are more flower fairies? After a few chats, Du Ling said goodbye and left. She wanted to contact Zhuan Menaiu to purchase equipment. Subei walked next to the golden roses planting grounds, thinking about what kind of flowers should be added after the golden roses were picked. After thinking for a moment, Subei felt that this question should be left to the flower fairy. Different nectar wines have different effects. What Subei has to do is to clarify the effect she needs, and then the flower fairy can calculate the type of flowers he needs. After checking the growth of the golden pink rose, Subei walked under the dark tree. It was just a few days ago that these 6 dark trees were obtained. At that time, I refreshed them separately, and I also wanted to get as many and better dark fruits as possible. As a result, Subei did not expect that his island was developing so fast that the fixed number of entries was very short. 6 dark trees and 3 unfixed entries gave Subei a feeling of regret. Knowing this, they should be refreshed in batches. What is the pursuit of higher grade entries? Ease of use is the most important thing. In the future, all the black iron and bronze plants will be refreshed in batches, and the silver level will only depend on the situation. Subei secretly made a decision. Then continue to patrol the island. The life of the island owner is boring, but it is actually quite boring. Even if there is no battle, you can't easily leave the island. You need to sit on the island. It is precisely because of this that many senior island owners will build large-scale construction on the island, which is extremely extravagant. It's too busy. Farming simply does not require the island to take the initiative. Even if there is no Earth spirit, you can recruit more ordinary people from Blue Star and let them take care of it. As for the battle, it is completely possible to cultivate the power user troops and let them settle it. Although Subei has not yet reached the senior island owner, he seems to have foreseen his future life. This can't be done, it will kill his fighting spirit. If there is another storm, it seems to be fine. Subei stood by the seaside and muttered to himself. If his idea is passed on by other island owners, regardless of whether it is a trainee island owner or a senior island owner, they will give him 2 punches. You boy, you are just full. Wandering around the island, it was difficult to stay up until evening. Ogre was the first to hear the good news. He forged all the magic iron ore into arrows, a total of 10,000, enough for a long time. After all, each magic iron arrow has 4 or 2 weights, which is not light. In other words, the oblique moon bow is bronze quality, and Zhuan Menaiu's basic attributes are high. Otherwise don't think about using this heavy arrow. It is also worth mentioning that Ogre has already initially mastered the effect of equipment enchantment, and these magic iron arrows have additional sharp effects. On the basis of the original, the penetration is further improved. Subei picked up a magic iron arrow and placed it in the palm of his hand to observe. With his eyesight, he couldn't see any obvious flaws. The arrow is smooth and flat, and can even be used as a mirror. The arrow shaft is straight and round, and the hand feels excellent. Related attributes also surfaced in front of Subei. Magic iron arrow, middle grade black iron, incidental effect, sharp. The quality of demonic iron ore itself is low grade black iron, but after being forged by Ogre, Coupled with the effect of equipment empowerment, it has been upgraded to mid-grade black iron, and its power has been greatly increased. Tsubei was very satisfied, grabbing the arrow and drawing in the palm of his hand. Just as Og was about to say that the magic iron arrow was extremely sharp, he saw that the magic iron arrow had drawn several white lines on Tsubei's palm, but it did not break the skin at all. Seeing this, Augur was silent. Is this something humans can do? Even if he turned on the petrified skin, he could only barely withstand the edge of the magic iron arrow. It turned out that Tsubei was playing in his hand. Outrageous. As expected of the island owner, Augur sincerely praised, "I have never seen the strength of your physical attributes." Tsubei put the magic iron arrow back into the box and smiled, "Good luck." While speaking, Juan Minyu also returned from Blue Star and brought a batch of brewing equipment. As long as the flower fairy arrives tomorrow, you can start brewing nectar wine and increase revenue channels for the island. After dinner, Juan Minyu happily came to the open space and began to practice shooting. She was very happy with such a strong magic iron arrow. And Augur is starting a new round of work. He wanted to make light armor for Du Ling and Juan Minyu. The materials used were the rare ores that had been brought back before, mainly bronze quality light cloud gold, mixed with various materials such as refined iron, meteorite, and shadow crystal. Tsubei is still fishing. By midnight, Tsubei was refreshed. It's finally time for him to play. First come under the dark tree and refresh directly. The two dark trees to be picked are all rare entries at the highest. Not too strong, but enough. Enough to raise the dark fruit to the silver level and awaken the D level ability. Poison of Amblyopia, rare level. The poison system ability that awakens the dark fruit to D level, has the effect of reducing the enemy's vision, and the item level is upgraded to the lower silver level. Slow poison, rare level. The poison system ability that awakens the dark fruit to D level, has the effect of reducing the enemy's movement speed, and the item level is increased to silver 2.5 middle grade. In addition to the previous, bone erosion poison, fascination poison, weakness poison, and the dark fruit in Tsubei's hands, the accompanying effects are quite comprehensive. As for the other dark tree that was picked, the highest level of entries it refreshed was only excellent, so it was naturally put aside and waited for subsequent refreshes. After confirming the entry, Tsubei did not rush to fix it. Instead, go straight back to rest. Don't panic when you have food in your hand. The three dark trees can provide more than 40 dark fruits, which can not only exchange the flower fairy from Richard, but also allow Du Ling to obtain new supernatural effects. Finally, you can exchange the wind-type power fruit from the special affairs team to complete Juan Minyu's awakening. Tsubei looked at the ceiling and thought for a moment, feeling more and more happy. These dark trees can completely change their names to become cash cows. While thinking about it, the door was pushed open with a creak. Advertisement: if you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82 Flower Fairy Katie. In the early morning, Tsubei packed up under the service of Du Ling and Juan Minyu. While waiting for breakfast, I came to the dark tree. Passing by the blacksmith shop, Augur was in high spirits forging iron. Two fire spirits who had changed shifts were playing beside him, and the other two were responsible for the temperature stabilization of the furnace. After saying hello, Tsubei stood under the dark tree. The alternative entry has been determined, and the reason why it has been fixed until now is just in case. But no enemy invaded at night. Today's entry has a fixed chance and can be used according to the original plan. First of all, these two dark trees have a great relationship. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. The dark tree flutters in the wind, its roots penetrate deep into the earth, and its branches and leaves become more and more emerald green. Tsubei called Zhao Shan and let it fly up to pick the fruit. The fruits of the three dark trees are placed separately according to the three entries of poison of weakness, poison of amblyopia, and poison of slowness. The number of fruit is 14, 13, 16, which is a little less than the previous 3, but it doesn't matter. Still a good harvest. Moreover, the dark underworld tree had grown on the enchanted island before, and was basically in a state of self-destruction. But here is different. There are magic fields, and the life nourishment of Zealu. There will be more high-value culture 17 fluids in the future. Tsubei believes that when the next batch of dark fruits is harvested, the number will increase by at least 50%. Even doubling is possible. At that time, he can cultivate abilities on a large scale. Not only will the defense of the island be foolproof, but even the company with Blue Star will be unshakable. After gathering his thoughts, Tsubei called Du Ling over and said, "These dark fruits have slightly different power attributes. You can absorb them." Du Ling nodded without being pretentious, picked up the dark underworld fruit of Poison of Weakness, 8-1, and said, "Islander, I feel that this new effect can be obtained by 2. That's good news." After eating the 6 dark fruits, Du Ling spread out her palms and condensed a dark green energy ball, then dissipated it and continued to condense new balls. The main body of the energy ball in her hand is dark green, but the color is slightly different, and the energy fluctuations are also slightly different. Fascinated, weak, amblyopia, slow, 4 different effects of toxins, will make the enemy suffer. Of course, these are auxiliary effects. The real lethality of poison-type abilities is still toxins, and this has not been reduced. After the fusion of various poison effects, Du Ling's poison power has also increased. After some tests, both Tsubei and Du Ling were very satisfied. Immediately, Du Ling returned to the villa to continue preparing breakfast. This job belongs to her. Zhuan Menaiu showed her hands before. Then Tsubei was shocked to find that Zhuan Menaiu's cooking skills were half a tad better than his. It can be eaten, but there is a billion-point difference from delicious. Du Ling took over the responsibility of the chef decisively. After Du Ling left, Tsubei looked at the remaining 37 dark fruits, opened the friend list, found Richard, and sent a message directly. Prepare to trade tea. On the other side, Richard was already fidgeting waiting. Because he found out that the captured flower fairy went on a hunger strike and lost his energy. If he starved to death on his island, then everything would be over. The flower fairy soul mark will make this island the most conspicuous torch. As long as the flower fairy passing by will feel the resentment, Richard will be regarded as the mortal enemy. Even those races that have a good relationship with flower fairies will feel it. Richard just wanted to get rid of the flower fairy now. After receiving Tsubei's message, he immediately replied, "No problem." In fact, if Tsubei is willing, he can still haggle the price, but Tsubei is too lazy to care about this petty profit. Tsubei estimated that at most one more dark fruit would be chopped. The difference is not big. It is better to trade the flower fairy and start brewing nectar wine. With this in mind, Tsubei resolutely placed 5 dark fruits with Poison of Amblyopia in the trading column. And Richard also put the flower fairy on the trading column. After confirming the transaction, Tsubei has an extra cage in his hands. Lifting the black cloth, the flower fairy inside jumped up like a frightened cat, shouting, "Damn human, I'm fighting with you." After seeing the appearance of Tsubei, the flower fairy shouted again, "It's useless to disguise you, even if you turn into ashes, I know you." 5 Tsubei almost laughed, didn't explain anything, just checked the flower fairy's panel. Name, Katiros, flower fairy level, black iron intermediate skills, 1, brewing 2, dexterity 3, soul marking tree, refreshable, 1-1 description. A peaceful race with a unique way of connecting with each other. Refresh. 3 alternative entries appeared, 2 white and 1 green, and the highest was only rare. Tsubei looked at the green entry, Blossoms of Flowers, rare grade, releases unique breath and promotes the growth of flowers. The quality is not high, but the effect is still very good. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. The target loyalty has been fixed at 135. 1 second, the flower fairy Katie had a generous expression of sacrifice, and the next second, she was a little dizzy, and her eyes became kinder when she looked at Tsubei. After a while, he said timidly, "Human, why do I feel like we have known each other for many years?" Tsubei opened the cage, took out a Ming Wang pearl from his pocket and placed it in front of Katie, saying, "Katie, we have always been friends." 35 Ming Wang pearl? Katie cheered and hugged Pearl in her arms. Even if she couldn't fly because of it, she refused to let go. Looking at Sube, she nodded with certainty and said, "Yes, we have always been friends." 35 Afterwards, Katie flew out of the cage holding the Ming Wang pearl, landed on Sube's shoulder, and said excitedly, "Friend, did you rescue me? I knew you would not abandon me." "Of course, we are friends," Sube asked with a determined expression. "Katie, where are your other companions?" Katie's expression was a little lost, and she said, "I don't know, the previous storm was too big, our island was broken by the waves, I was sleeping in the flowers, and drifted to the sea. Then I was caught by that hateful human. Fortunately, you were rescued." "My friend, what's your name?" "Sube." "Okay, friend Sube, can you help me find my companion?" 99 Katie continued, "I'm inviting them to move here too. This is our home." Sube smiled and said, "Of course I'm willing to help you find companions, but there's no news from them for now." Katie's expression was a little disappointed, but she also knew that in this vast sea, the probability of encountering other flower fairies was really low. At this time, Duling called for breakfast, and Sube took Katie back. At the dinner table, Augur and others showed great kindness towards this new member. Especially Duling and Zhuan Menayu. "Can't wait to hold Katie in their arms." This little guy 577 is just too cute. But Katie obviously regarded Sube's shoulders as home and refused to leave. After the meal, Sube took Katie to the golden pink rose plantation. Katie cheered, and after a moment of confusion, she handed over the Ming Wang pearl to Sube for safekeeping, and then flew into the golden pink roses. Something magical happened. Where Katie passed, the golden pink roses became more and more flamboyant. Sube knew that this was blossoms of flowers in effect. Katie flew back and said excitedly, "My friend, these golden pink roses are so beautiful. Can I use them to make wine?" Sube thought that the race of the flower fairy is really amazing. Normally, the golden pink rose is so beautiful, shouldn't it be displayed? But Katie's first reaction was that it could be used to make wine. But this is also what Sube wanted, so he didn't think about it, just smiled. "Of course, in fact, these golden pink roses are for you, my friend." "Great." Katie became more and more delighted, and the translucent wings kept flapping, circling and flying among the flowers. Sube asked, "What is the effect of the nectar wine made from golden pink roses?" Katie flew back, landed on Sube's shoulders, and replied, "If you make wine with gold powder roses, you can delay aging." The effect caught Sube's eyes. Delaying aging, in a sense, is also equivalent to increasing longevity. Definitely sell high. It is really a big profit to exchange 5 dark fruits for Katie. On the other hand, Richard thought so too. Using a hunger strike flower fairy to exchange for 5 dark fruit, not only increased his own strength, but also made Sube devastated. He felt that he had made a lot of money. Advertisement Chapter 83 Zhuan Menayu Awakens. Katie looked at the golden pink roses and felt a little itchy. The previous dangerous encounters had been completely forgotten by her, and she was no longer in a hurry to find her companions, but sat on Sube's shoulders and played with her feet. She was thinking about which tools to prepare. Sube asked Tulane to move the prepared brewing equipment in time. This is specially designed according to the body shape of the flower fairy. Katie asked curiously, "My friend, have other flower fairies ever been on your island? How can there be such professional equipment, which is better than our own?" 99 Sube replied, "This is specially prepared for you." 35 In fact, the flower fairy does not need professional equipment to make nectar wine. They can also use what they can tinker with. But better equipment is obviously more convenient for winemaking. The focus is on the unique magic of the flower fairy. That's the root cause of the special effects of nectar wine. The same materials, the same process, but the nectar wine brewed by the flower fairy has special effects. This is an innate advantage that other races do not have. Katie saw the new device and couldn't sit still anymore. She flew over and looked up and down. After getting familiar with the various functions, She flew to the flower field to pick up a few golden roses and put them into the device, and began to debug the device. Su Bei called 2 rock soldiers to guard here, and then walked to the dark fruit. Du Ling ate 6 dark fruits, Richard took 5 more, and the remaining 22 dark fruits. Su Bei took a photo and sent it to Shen Qingling. Shen Qingling estimated that he was also waiting, and just 2 seconds after the message, there was a reply. Are they all for sale? Are you prepared for wind-type power fruits? Su Bei asked. What are the effects of the D-level wind-type supernatural fruit on your side? In general, there are 3 side effects, Shen Qingling replied: penetrating, cutting, and blocking. 35 The core effect of the wind-type ability is to accelerate, just like Du Ling's poison-type ability. The core is to destroy the vitality of the enemy. As for the fascination, weakness, amblyopia, and slow speed, they are all side effects. The same goes for the penetration, cutting, and blocking that Shen Qingling said. It is manifested in different ways on the core effect of acceleration. Penetration is to condense the ability to the maximum extent, thereby breaking through the enemy's defense. On the other hand, cutting is the opposite. After the ability hits the enemy, it will split, forming countless wind blades, causing wider damage. The blocking is to turn the point into a face, and comprehensively restrict the enemy's actions. Make the enemy seem to be in a windy area, making it difficult to move. All 3 effects are very powerful. In Su Bei's answer, of course, is all. As long as it is an ability of the same attribute, the additional effects will not conflict. In fact, mastering more power effects is also an important indicator to measure the power of power users. If there are only 1 or 2 attack methods, the combat situation that can be dealt with is very limited. Easy to be targeted. Therefore, Su Bei's answer is naturally all. After thinking for a moment, Su Bei replied, for the supernatural fruit with penetrating effect, first give me 10. According to Su Bei's calculations, even if Zhuan Menaiu couldn't compare to Du Ling in terms of supernatural powers, it would not be impossible for 10 supernatural power fruits to be awakened. Naturally, Shen Qingling would not refuse this request, and replied, what do you want for the additional bronze-level plants? Su Bei thought for a while, then replied, can I replace it with gold-pink roses? 35 Shen Qingling asked curiously, are you sure? Gold powder roses are only black iron plants, and they have no special effects other than the ability to extract gold. Generally speaking, only the black iron grade plants are exchanged for the bronze grade. How can Su Bei do the reverse? However, after thinking for a moment, Shen Qingling thought of one thing and entered a line of words in the chat bar again. The flower fairy caught by Richard is in your hands? Su Bei nodded secretly. As expected of the special task force, this news is well informed. Immediately, he admitted it generously and replied, that's right, I am here, so I need golden pink roses. With that said, Shen Qingling understood. In the hands of humans, gold powder roses can only be viewed and refined into gold, but in the hands of flower fairies, it is an excellent brewing raw material. However, wasn't that flower fairy captured by Richard and hated humans very much? Why did you help Su Bei make wine in a blink of an eye? Shen Qingling suddenly felt that the world was changing too fast, and she couldn't keep up with the rhythm. After making up his mind, Shen Qingling decided to ignore this matter, and just replied, if you want golden pink roses, then the original bronze rank plant can be replaced with 20 golden pink roses. 5 This ratio is very cost-effective. Su Bei naturally will not object, and immediately put 10 dark fruit. On the other side, Shen Qingling also put 10 wind-type supernatural fruits and 200 golden roses. Su Bei glanced at those supernatural fruits. The color of the fruit is cyan with some white cloud-like lines. The size is about the same as the dark fruit. When Yungo, silver middle grade, eating has a chance to awaken D-level wind power. With penetrating effect, the 2 sides confirmed the transaction. Su Bei called Tu Ling and asked him to send the golden pink rose to Katie. At the same time, he called Zhuan Menaiu through the walkie-talkie. Zhuan Menaiu had been waiting, and when she received the news, she walked quickly. Su Bei pointed at Wen Yungo and said, this is for you. 35 Thank you for the cultivation of the island master. Juan Minaiu cupped her hands, and did not say anything else pretentiously, took a few bites of Wenyungo, and then felt for a moment, and said, "It probably takes 5 to 6 fruits to wake up. This number is less than Sube expected. Sube thought it would take 7 or 8. Juan Minaiu kept moving, and after 5 Wenyungo, she stopped and her expression became serious. It can be clearly felt that energy is gathering towards her. Sube's face was filled with joy, a sign of awakening. Unexpectedly, Juan Minaiu's talent is also good, and the 5 supernatural fruits have been awakened. If there is no entry bonus, she and Du Ling's strength should be on a par. But taking the additional factor of entry into account, then Du Ling's hard power is stronger. If her toxin attack is fully used, she can completely kill bronze-level monsters in seconds. But Juan Minaiu also has her advantages. Basic attributes are high. Combined with the slanted moon bow and the magic iron arrow, it can also cause considerable damage without using the ability. Now the awakening ability, the damage is even more. While thinking about it, Juan Minaiu had air surging all over her body, her long black hair danced without wind, and the frequency continued to increase, eventually reaching a critical point. In the end, the energy exploded, and the gust of wind swept away. Juan Minaiu's eyes were bright, and she said with joy on her face, "Island Master, I lived up to my high hopes, I succeeded." Bei was also quite happy and said, "Come on, test your abilities." Hearing this, Juan Minaiu walked to the open space next to her and drew her bow and arrow. Wind powers converge on arrows. Swish. The magic iron arrow flew out. While smashing the target, go deep into the ground again. This time, the arrow marks are quite exaggerated. A deep hole about 10 centimeters in diameter was punched out on the ground. The energy attached to the arrow easily shattered the soil ahead. Ogre, who was watching from the side, applauded repeatedly and said in admiration, "Miss Juan, ordinary black iron equipment can't stand this arrow." As a master blacksmith, Ogre's vision is quite accurate. Subei's mood became more and more happy. He contacted Shen Qingling again, exchanged 6 of the other 2 kinds of supernatural fruits, and harvested 240 golden roses along the way. Tough tendon fruit, silver middle grade, eating has a chance to awaken D-level wind power, with blocking effect. Knife fruit, silver middle grade, eating has a chance to awaken D-level wind power, with cutting effect. Juan Minaiu ate 3 of these 2 kinds of supernatural fruit each, and gained a new supernatural effect. Let Juan Minaiu continue to practice the power. Subei began to think about how to deal with these wind-type power fruits. Although Juan Minaiu's awakening was a bit more expensive than Du Ling's, she still used 3 more power fruits in total. Now, Subei still has 5 Wenyun fruit, 3 tenacity fruit and 3 knife fruit. These power fruits can theoretically awaken 1 or 2 power users. But even if Subei wants to add a power user, it will definitely not be wind. This problem is easy to solve. Just find Shen Qingling to exchange for other attributes of supernatural fruit. After thinking for a moment, Subei walked to Juan Minaiu's side and asked, "What is the current scale of the company, Li Qian's?" Juan Minaiu put away the slanted moon bow, and replied with some shame, "Islander, this may disappoint you. The regular department is being formed and will be put into operation soon. However, the recruitment of candidates for abilities is somewhat progressing." Slow. Subei asked, "Oh, what's the reason?" Juan Minaiu said, "There are too many applicants, but we have too few staff now, and the screening work is very slow." This question was something Subei never thought about. When he heard Juan Minaiu say it, he thought it was nobody. Unexpectedly, there are too many people to choose. However, the candidate for the ability person is related to the safety of the island, no matter how careful you are. The slow progress is also understandable. Since there is no candidate for the ability person, Subei can only give up and put away the ability fruit first. He doesn't want to go back to Blue Star to select candidates for the time being. The selection of Du Ling and Juan Minaiu has attracted the attention of those who are interested. It is not appropriate to go back now. These power fruits will not be wasted, and they can still be linked to the trading center if they cannot. Those apprentice island masters screamed in the chat area all day long, crying that the supernatural fruit was not enough. Thinking of this, Subei made a fuss and let Zhuan Menyu continue to practice, while he found a place to sit down and opened the trading center. Time to cut another wave of leaks. Advertisement. Chapter 84 Skill Book. There are many items in the trading center. The most common is the flesh and blood of various monsters. They grow in the island world, their own attributes are high, and their flesh and blood also have certain effects. If you eat it for a long time, it can strengthen your body. But Subei doesn't like it. For this thing to be effective, you have to eat it continuously for at least half a year. And the increase is really limited. If Subei has this kung fu, he might as well go up one level. Of course, this belongs to standing and talking without back pain. Other island owners don't have a system, and they don't have a bug level entry like killing God. They can only improve their strength as much as possible. Monster flesh can not only satisfy hunger, but also improve attributes, which is very popular. But this stuff is very productive. After all, in the vast ocean, in addition to the monsters who would take the initiative to land on the island to attack, there are many in the sea. Even fishing on the edge of the island can catch a few. Their flesh and blood simply can't sell for a price. This kind of low-end business, Subei is too lazy to do it. However, if Blue Star's company starts to operate in the future, it is possible to get some back. He didn't like it. The ordinary people of Blue Star couldn't ask for it. Subei gathered his thoughts and said this later. His current thinking is to cut off the other apprentice island masters with the supernatural fruit in his hand. After browsing the trading center at a speed of 580, Subei opened the newcomer chat area and sent a message. Dragon Kingdom. Subei, sell 11 D-level wind-type supernatural fruits. Bring your good things for private chat. This sentence was immediately pinned. All the island owners in the chat area saw it. Richard couldn't wait to jump out again. Lighthouse Kingdom. Richard, how many supernatural fruits do you have in your hands? Besides the dark fruits, how come even the supernatural power fruits of the wind system are popping up? Kangaroo Country. Kimi, people are more popular than dead people. I haven't even got a bronze level plant now, and the big guys have started to sell supernatural fruits. And this is the second time. The sun never sets. Isabel, Lord of the Dragon Country, I am the royal family of the princess where the sun never sets. If I present the fruit of my abilities, I will make you a Duke Longu Guanmingzi, before the sun sets. The royal family has been reduced to such a level. You should also make a draft first for bragging. Dragon Kingdom. Zhao, Shi Huang, make money. Longo Fengjing, at Isabel. I am your half-brother who has been separated for many years. I don't have high requirements, I just need to be named a Baron. Maple Leaf Country. Kelson, stop talking nonsense. I have sent a friend request to Su Shen, and I will get the supernatural fruit immediately. Malbear Country. Brunalev, wind-type abilities are not good. Do you have ice-type abilities? BHCF. It can be seen that the enthusiasm of the majority of trainee island owners for the fruit of supernatural power has not diminished, and in just a moment, countless information has been swiped on the screen. However, some people question the authenticity. If there is really a wind-type supernatural fruit, why not put it on the trading center, but bring the item to private chat? It must be the good thing that the cunning Longo Island mainly deceives everyone. Regarding these people's remarks, Subei took out a small book and wrote it down, and then picked one of the 3 kinds of fruits and put them on the trading center. Auction mode is still adopted. Don't you doubt it, so let's take it slowly. Although the auction in the trading center has certain restrictions, for example, it can only be settled with special plants. But Subei didn't care. Anyway, he took out these supernatural fruits to cut leeks. As for whether the cut is a plant or a prop, there is not much difference. Can't lose. With the 3 kinds of supernatural fruits on the shelves, the trainee island owner who spoke sarcastically before became silent. The other apprentice island owners also knew the effect of the supernatural fruit in Subei's hand, and began to think about whether to shoot. Subei opened the friend request list, blocked all screenshots without attributes, and immediately began to browse quickly. 80% are with plant screenshots. But generally black iron is the majority. Tsubei crossed at a glance. But soon, he found something. It's a skill book. Crack wind slash, bronze middle grade, swing the weapon to release the air blade, only for physical occupations. Tsubei thought about it. His demon slayer must be a physics department. So I passed the friend application of this Longo Island owner named Jia Yuan. Jia Yuan's first sentence was, "Shen Su, I've finally added you as a friend, and I'm going to set off fireworks to celebrate." Tsubei could not laugh or cry. As for? He replied casually, "What do you want to change for that split wind slash? For everyone's sake from the Dragon Kingdom, I can give you 2 supernatural fruits. No more. This skill book is too restrictive. It must be you can only use it if you change jobs. In addition, let me tell you in advance that 2 fruits may not be able to complete the awakening. The 2 power users on my side used 4 and 5 power fruits respectively to succeed." Jia Yuan was silent for half a minute, probably weighing the pros and cons. Tsubei is not in a hurry, and continues to browse the friend application. Don't look at the chat area. The apprentice island owners of the lighthouse country shouted the most, with the momentum of pulling Tsubei off the horse. But now to apply for friends. In addition to the Dragon Country island owner, the lighthouse country island owner is the most. They have a lot of resources. While thinking about it, Jia Yuan sent a message. "Thanks to God Su for reminding me that the price of 2 supernatural fruits has exceeded my expectations, so let's set it as such. Okay, let's make a deal." After finishing speaking, Tsubei put 2 Wenyungu in the trading column, and Jia Yuan also put the skill book split wind slash on it. In fact, strictly speaking, Tsubei has to lose a little. At this stage, the value of the supernatural fruit is much higher than that of the skill book. The main split wind is not a general skill, and must be transferred before it can be used. This is doomed to be unable to sell the high price. There is no need for apprentice island owners, and there is no shortage of experienced island owners. If it is a general skill book that ordinary people can use, the price will be high. Jia Yuan knew this. So when she saw that Tsubei was willing to give out 2 supernatural fruits, she agreed without hesitation. The reason for the hesitation is that he is considering whether to use this power fruit by himself or to sell it. But that's her business. Tsubei doesn't care. To confirm the transaction, Tsubei looked at the skill book in his hand, and directly chose to refresh. Snap. Soon, a purple entry appeared surrounded by 2 white entries. "Oh, good luck." Tsubei muttered and looked at the purple entry. Sword Ranbu, epic level, the number of air blades is increased to 3, and the item level is upgraded to silver middle grade. If a bronze level skill book has a decent effect, then a silver level skill book will definitely have a powerful effect. 3 chi blades are swung at the same time, which will definitely make the enemy devastated. Fixed. Ding, the entry has been fixed. The light flashed, and the name of the skill book in Tsubei's hand also changed. It used to be a split wind slash, but now, it has become a gust of wind. With a slap of his hand, the skill book turned into a streamer and merged into Tsubei's body. In his mind, there are also some more experiences. Came to the blacksmith shop to pick up the dragon sword. Tsubei waved it into the air. Wind slash. 3 vertical air blades flew out from the tip of the blade, creating a half-meter deep crack on the ground, and disappeared after flying out 5 meters. Tsubei was all smiles. Very good, this skill will become his weapon against the enemy. With this knife, at least several enemies can be hacked to death. Even the former Admiral Seiko was injured by the chi blade. After handing the dragon blade to Og for further research, Tsubei browsed the friend application again. If there are more island owners like Jia Yuan, he will take off. Advertisement. Chapter 85, The Drift Island of the Flower Fairy. Facts have proved that good luck can't last long, and good things won't let one person take it all. Tsubei lost his eyes and couldn't find the second skill book from the friend request. As for the enchanted island coordinate Jade and the island heart fragment, there is no shadow at all. In this regard, Tsubei seriously doubted whether those trainee island owners were being lazy and couldn't even come up with good things. In desperation, Sube could only put all the remaining power fruits on the trading center, and then set a 2-hour auction time. Then ignored. There are still 3 opportunities to fix the entry today, and I have to think about how to use it. Meow meow meow. The gem cat rode the rock soldier and ran from a distance, making a hurried call. Sube gave the guy a sidelong glance. This cat seems to have a very high status, and the rock soldiers are very respectful to it, and basically it is a response. Meow meow. The gem cat barked twice. Sube asked curiously, "You said, there is the smell of flower fairies on the sea?" Meow. Meow meow. The gem cat nodded again and again. This makes Sube a little weird. After asking again to confirm that it was not Katie's breath, Sube became concerned about it. Flower fairy can brew nectar wine, the more the better. When she came to the golden pink rose field, Katie was dancing back and forth with the flowers in her arms, and the happy expression on her face could not be concealed. When exchanging supernatural fruit with Shen Kingaling before, Sube harvested hundreds of golden roses, making Katie so happy that she almost couldn't find the north. Adhering to the concept of turning every petal into a nectar wine, Katie decided to work overtime to brew all the golden pink roses. She was so focused that Sube walked by without noticing Katie. Sube watched for a long time, and found that Katie had no idea of stopping at all, and could only call out. Only then did Katie realize that Sube was here, put the rose petals into the brewing equipment, flapped her wings and landed on Sube's shoulders, and asked, "My friend, why are you here?" Sube pointed to the jewel cat. The little guy said he found the scent of the flower fairy. Hearing this, Katie flew up, put her little hand on her eyebrows, and made a gesture of looking into the distance. She kept saying, where is my companion?" Sube almost started to sing along, and quickly said, "I haven't determined yet. The gem cat only said that it smelled the smell, but the exact location has not been determined." 35 Katie's expression turned down at a speed visible to the naked eye, and fell on Sube's shoulders, grabbed the collar and said tearfully, "My friends, if they are really my clan, can they be allowed to settle on the island?" Sube raised a soft smile and said, "Of course, no problem, Katie, you are my friend, so your people are also my friends." 35 It's great. Katie's mood improved, she flapped her wings and flew, and said eagerly, "Then let's go and see what's going on. If it's really my clan, we must persuade them to stay. This is what Sube wants. With Katie there, even if the other flower fairies can't stay in the end, at least they can increase their goodwill. It is quite safe to wait until the time is ripe and then fix the entry. While thinking about it, Sube came to the highland by the coast, led by the jewel cat. Meow meow meow. The gem cat stretched out its claws and pointed in a certain direction, which means that the breath of the flower fairy floated from there. Sube narrowed his eyes to observe carefully, and vaguely saw a small black spot that was slowly enlarging. "There is indeed something approaching," Sube said, and then asked Tulane to go to the blacksmith shop to fetch the Longian knife. He has a strong sense of sight. When he first became a trainee island owner, a few grayskin cavemen appeared in this way. First, there were small black dots floating in the distance, and then it was discovered that they were island fragments. This time, it is very likely that this will be the case again. After a moment, Tulane arrived holding the Longian saber. Sube took it, grabbed 2 sword flowers and pinned it on his waist. At this time, the black spot in the distance can vaguely see the outline. Sure enough, history repeats itself. Really island pieces. It can't be called a fragment, it's an island. What appeared this time was much larger than the fragments of the island brought by the grayskin cavemen before. According to Sube's observations, it is about the same size as his initial island. Such a big thing, riding the wind and waves at sea, this is quite outrageous. However, in the island world, there are some mobile islands. It is even said that the island of Sube is also moving, but the amplitude is extremely small, and it may not be able to move a few meters a year. For flowers. But there are also islands that have been transformed by native races and can wander in the sea. Maybe it's this one. While thinking about it, The island in the distance keeps getting closer. And Sube also saw the flower fairy who was waiting for him. There are quite a lot of them, just a dozen or so. Beside them is a huge tree man. The tree man is a half-life race of flower fairies. Due to the peculiar magic power of flower fairies, where they live for a long time, trees will gradually gain intelligence, thus transforming into tree people. Treants have a natural affinity for flower fairies and are willing to fight for them. In fact, this is also the self-protection method of the flower fairy. They have no fighting power on their own, but they can shake people. Now, on the drifting island in the distance, in addition to the flower fairy, there are more than a dozen tree people. This is also the main reason why the flower fairy can drift on the sea without being attacked by monsters. However, judging from the messy condition of the island, the previous storm had brought a lot of losses to these flower fairies. The drifting island in the distance began to slow down and finally stopped several hundred meters away. Perhaps because of seeing Katie, the flower fairies on the island no longer look like they are facing an enemy. But they do not completely relax their expressions. Sube thought about it and asked, "Katie, do you want to go over there?" In the current situation, it was obviously inappropriate for Sube to land directly on the opposite island. Can only let Katie as a messenger to inquire about the news. But there will be some risks in this way. How to make a choice? Sube handed over the choice to Katie. In addition, Sube observed just now that the flower fairy and the tree man on the opposite side are in a state that can refresh the entry. They were not corroded by demonic energy. This is also the reason why Sube is willing to let Katie land on the opposite side. Otherwise, he would have killed him long ago with the Longian sword in hand. And Katie didn't hesitate after hearing Sube's words. She nodded her head quickly and said, "I'm going." Katie's expression was sympathetic. "I can feel that my people have suffered a lot, and they need a new home, and here we are. It is perfect." Sube agreed. "That's right, it's better that these flower fairies stay on his island." Summoning the light spirit to escort Katie to the opposite island, Sube waited and did it. Advertisement Chapter 86 Visiting the island. Sube put his palm on the Longian saber, secretly urging energy, ready to ride the waves and rush to the opposite island at any time. With his strength, he can span hundreds of meters in an instant. In addition, in the light spirit that flew over with Katie, Shan had already received Sube's instructions. If there is a conflict, use the flash as soon as possible, and it will definitely be delayed until Sube arrives. This is the worst plan. Although in Sube's field of vision, those flower fairies and tree people are in normal state and are not affected by demonic energy. But there must be some caution. Safety first in everything. Not far behind Sube, Du Ling, Juan Minyu and Dogger were ready. Once in danger, they will come out and give the enemy a head-on attack. But Sube seems to be overly cautious. After Katie and the light spirits flew to the opposite island, after a few words, Katie 580 and one of the flower goblins hugged each other and cried, and the rest were all bowing their heads and wiping their tears. Sube's heart melted when he saw it. He is obliged to give these flower fairies a warm home. If he could help him brew some nectar wine in his spare time, that would be great. While thinking about it, Sube also had dark thoughts. If these flower fairies still hesitate, they can only find an opportunity to keep their leader. If he guessed correctly, the flower goblin who was hugging Katie just now is the leader. She has the highest rank, with bronze subordinates. The rest of the flower fairies are all black iron. To tell the truth, if those tree people had bronze level strength and were not afraid of death, these flower fairies would not be able to float here. According to the common habits of the native race, the leader of the ethnic group has a very high right to speak. As long as Sube can keep the leading flower fairies, the remaining flower fairies will have no objection. It is impossible to fix the entries for all the flower fairies today. But if only the leader is fixed, then there is no difficulty. But be a little secretive. Sube's brain was running fast. He made a rough plan, and then called out to Ascog to unload his equipment and walk to him from the corner. Dwarves are notoriously hospitable among the native races of the island world, and most races have a good relationship with them. The same goes for flower fairies. Ogre's presence can further dispel the guard of the flower fairy. Things went about as Sube expected. The leader of the flower fairy in the distance stayed on Ogre for a while, and his expression became softer. After a while, Katie and the light spirits flew back. Katie landed on Sube's shoulders and said quickly, "My friends, please help my people. Their original homeland was shattered by the waves, and they have been drifting at sea for several months. They are very tired. They need a rest place." Sube wondered if the flower fairy had a grudge against the waves. Katie was caught by Richard, but also because the island was broken, she followed the fragments of the island and drifted to Richard's island. Now, this group of flower fairies appeared here because of the waves. The waves in the island world are really fierce. Sube sighed in his heart, and then said with a serious face, "Katie, I definitely welcome your friends to come to the island as guests. It doesn't matter if they regard this as their home, but the key is, your clan. Are they willing?" 39 Katie said a little embarrassedly. Avina said that she is responsible for her clan and cannot make arbitrary decisions. Aviana, it is the name of the leader of the flower fairy. She has such an attitude, within Sube's expectations. After all, she shoulders the safety of all the flower fairies, so naturally she will not be gullible just because of Katie's few words. But Sube knew that Avina's guard must have dropped a lot. The firmness in the words began to loosen. And it's all Katie's credit. Her words are 100 times more useful than Sube's words. Avina may not trust Sube, but she will definitely trust her fellow Katie. Although the conversation just now was short, it also greatly eased Aviana's vigilance. The next step is to strike while the iron is hot and flick Avina over. No, she should be invited as a guest to visit Sube's island. During this process, Avina felt that it was worth living here and decided to stay. As for multiple entries, that is Sube's most sincere blessing to the flower fairy. It is to help Avina improve her strength. After pondering for a moment, Sube decided to ask Katie to go to the opposite island again, but this time he would take Ogre with him. "Katie, you and Ogre go and see the situation again. You are a native race and should care for each other." 55 By the way, you also bring these Mingwang pearls as a gift. When Sube speaks, he looks righteous and awe-inspiring. The action of holding the pearl is extraordinarily dashing. Katie was moved to tears and made up her mind to keep the people of Avina behind. Flower fairies are not a race that can drift for a long time, they need a new home. After getting ready, Ogre paddled the boat and landed on the opposite island again with Katie. This time, the expressions of those flower fairies were more gentle. Sube could even hear laughter coming from the wind. Turning his head to look at the jewel cat squatting on top of the rock soldier, Sube gave a thumbs up and praised, "Good job. Meow. Meow meow." The gem cat raised his head and acted proudly. The waiting time was undoubtedly boring, but Sube did nothing but wait quietly. Perhaps Katie's lobbying was fruitful, or it could be Ogre's efforts, or for the sake of the pearl of bright light. When Katie and Ogre returned, there was a flower fairy on the boat. It's Avina. With the expectation of her clan, she is ready to visit the island of Sube. See if it's a new home, as Katie said. Sube put on a warm smile. Stable. Avina came to Sube, bowed first, and said sincerely, "Human, thank you for saving Katie." 99 Sube returned the salute and said, "You're welcome. You're welcome." Katie said next to her, "Sister Avina, don't you want to visit the island? I'll show you the way." Although Avina had these 2.5 thoughts, she still looked at Sube and asked politely, "Can I do it?" How could Sube object? He smiled and said, "Why not? It couldn't be more welcome. You are Katie's clan, that is, my friends. You are welcome here at any time." 35 Avina put down her guard and wanted to say something, but she was dragged away by Katie, and went straight to the field of golden pink roses. While flying, Katie said proudly, "Sister Avina, go and see my flower field. I tell you, so many golden pink roses are all mine, I can't be too busy by myself." 99 As the leader of the flower fairy, Avina has a much calmer personality. Although he was pulled by Katie, He remained calm. By contrast, Katie is completely childlike. Tsubei didn't care either. Regardless of personality, a flower fairy who can brew nectar wine is a good flower fairy. Advertisement Chapter 87, The Sea Snake Attacks. Katie flew all the way to the golden pink rose with Avina, and Avina was also a little excited when she saw the golden pink rose blooming brilliantly. For flower fairies, flowers are all they have. And Katie has the entry blossoms of flowers. Under her influence, these golden pink roses are more gorgeous than Avina has ever seen. The vigilance in Avina's heart subsided a lot again. To be able to cultivate such a golden pink rose, this human being is definitely not a bad person. Little Green flew over from the side at the right time and sprinkled water on the golden rose. Under the catalysis of nourishing life, golden pink roses release their unique charm. At the same time of joy, Avina was also shocked by Zialu's ability. It was the first time she had seen such a magical water spirit. Aviana has also encountered many creatures like water spirits. But they can't do the Little Green. The plants will be green and the vitality will be greatly improved as soon as they are sprinkled with water. Avina couldn't help but think of the plants on her island that had been devastated by the storm. If this water spirit took good care of her, she would soon be rejuvenated. Tsubei was more and more happy when he saw that Aviana's eyes stayed on Zialu many times. He felt that perhaps these flower fairies could be conquered without a fixed entry. In that case, it would be a pleasant surprise. However, fixed entries are not only to ensure loyalty, but also to enhance strength. Aviana's level is high, and after fixing 17 entries, the effect is more obvious. In addition, when Katie came back just now, she also briefly talked about the situation of the Flower Fairy Island. Not optimistic. They had been drifting for months and had encountered several storms. The area of the island has shrunk significantly, and the plants on the island have suffered heavy losses. If there is no recuperation, let alone plants, even the Flower Fairy will suffer casualties. The energy supplement of the Flower Fairy basically comes from nectar. After several months of rafting, the stock of nectar on the island is nearly exhausted. The large reduction of plants, especially flowers, on the island made it extremely difficult to replenish nectar wine. Without fresh petals as raw materials, Flower Fairy can't conjure nectar wine out of thin air. During the rafting, these flower fairies also encountered other islands. But eventually left. Now, when I meet Katie, Avina and other flower fairies, my mind is a little different. In the previous island, although the human island owners were enthusiastic, Avina was not at ease. But Tsubei is different. He has Katie the flower fairy on his island. This is also the reason why Avina decided to visit the island. Now, after seeing such a high-quality golden pink rose, and seeing the magical water spirit Zialu, and there is also the dwarf augur to guarantee. In fact, the vigilance in Aviana's heart is not much left. Still, she decided to take another look. On the other side, on the drifting island, the remaining flower fairies gathered together and chatted. Will it be dangerous for the leader to go to the opposite side? Certainly not. There's Katie here. Yeah, Katie says she has hundreds of gold pink roses, which is really enviable. Alas, when will we stop rafting? I haven't had a good night's sleep for a long time. The storm the other day was so terrifying, I thought it was doomed. Hopefully, the chief will bring back good news. 99. In addition to Katie and Augur's persuasion, the safety of the clan was the main reason for Avina's exploration of the island. Flower Fairy is not suitable for fighting and traveling. What they are good at is brewing nectar wine. These few months of drifting have been like a nightmare for them. They never thought that there are so many monsters in the ocean. If it weren't for the accumulation of enough tree people on the original island, they would have been wiped out long ago. Even so, several companions were lost in the battle. The treants also lost a lot. If they don't stop drifting, they won't be attacked by new monsters, and they will collapse first. In the eyes of the Flower Fairy, Tsubei's island is very attractive. On one side are Katie and Augur. If they can live on a human island, so can the Flower Fairies. And most importantly, the island of Tsubei is full of life. That kind of rich natural atmosphere, even higher than their original island, makes the Flower Fairy yearn very much. If you can live on such an island, You can definitely brew a more delicious nectar wine. The flower fairies are eagerly awaiting the return of Avina. But they didn't notice that in the ocean in the distance, a few black shadows were rapidly approaching. But Jewel Cat noticed. It rode the rock soldier and rushed to Subei's side, meowing and meowing. "Gem Cat! Avina!" exclaimed. "What is the origin of this island? It even has gem cats. This is a race that is even rarer than their flower fairies." But before Avina asked anything else, Subei learned the news from the gem cat. His expression became serious, and he said to Avina, "There are monsters approaching your island." "What?" Avina was startled and at a loss, and her expression became firm immediately. Then fight. However, Subei moved faster than her, leaving only one sentence, "I'll go back when I go," and then rushed straight out holding the Longian sword. The speed was so fast that Avina was stunned. Is this the speed that a black iron class human can have? Even a bronze level flower fairy can't fly so fast. Og said faintly beside him, "When the island master rescued me before, he hacked to death a bronze high-grade obsidian giant." Avina was even more shocked. She even wondered if Subei had the blood of a giant dragon. Otherwise why would his physical fitness be so strong? But Avina quickly calmed down and said quickly, "I want to go back. When the enemy strikes, she, the leader, must stand with the clan." Katie nodded again and again and said, "Sister Avina, I'll go with you." Augur also unfastened the hammer hanging from his waist and said, "Count me in." Avina was very moved and quickly flew to the drifting island. After a few hundred meters, she saw a few stout sea snakes break through the water and land on the edge of the island. Avina's hands and feet were cold. She was able to perceive the rank of those sea snakes, all of which were bronze rank, and the one-headed was even lower rank silver. Such strength, let alone the current flower fairy clan. Not even in its heyday before. Aviana was in despair. Has the fate of their ethnic group come to an end? Immediately, Avina felt a little guilty again. These sea snakes were probably chasing after them, but they also implicated Subei and others. Drifting on the island, the flower fairies were shocked to change their colors. Such a powerful sea snake, they simply can't beat it. A tree man went up to 580 to intercept it and was kicked away by a tail. If the trunk was not strong enough, it would have been broken in two on the spot. The flower fairies are in a mess. At this moment, a figure rushed from the sea in the distance. Accompanied by a firm and steady low drink. Wind, slash. 3 chi blades flew out, cutting the bronze-level sea snake that had just attacked into 4 pieces. The snake head has not completely lost consciousness, and Zhang Hezu wants to bite. Immediately, he was kicked flying by Subei, smashing the sea snake beside him into a daze, and the offensive was interrupted. The silver-level sea snake-headed was furious, stared at Subei with vertical pupils, and opened his mouth to spit venom. How could Subei let it hurt its own island? Yes, in Subei's heart, he has already regarded this drifting island as his own territory. The Longian saber in his hand vibrated, and the light of the blade 10 meters long shot out. Danwu, exterminate demon slash. Just like the Sea Admiral Sika at the time, this silver subordinate sea snake was split into 2 halves from the beginning to the end. Boom! Exclamation mark. The corpse fell to the ground, stirring up a large cloud of dust. In the distance, Avina, who was desperately flapping her wings, was stunned, and even forgot to fly forward. Augur, who was paddling and rowing, was also stunned. He knew that Subei was strong, but he didn't expect it to be so strong. How dare you be a little more outrageous when you chop down a silver-level sea snake with one knife? As expected of the island owner, Augur expressed his sincere admiration. His voice also woke Avina. But her focus is slightly different. Danwu, exterminating demon slash? Avina repeated Subei's skills, and her eyes brightened. In her heart, she had already made a decision. Advertisement Chapter 88, Allegiance, Fusion. Several sea snakes wanted to have a full meal. After they discovered the Flower Fairies Island, they did not act rashly, but carefully tracked it down, which led them to discover Subei's Island. The leader of the sea snake was still bragging at that time. and it was all because of his wise and calmness that he could have a greater harvest. If he followed the intention of the other sea snakes and attacked halfway, there would be no second island. The life energy intensity of this second island is much higher than that of the flower fairy. It's definitely a treat for them. The sea snake brothers made an agreement. Then attacked together. As a result, just after a tree man was swept away, a human suddenly ran over from a distance. Cut the hapless sea snake into 4 pieces with one knife. Of course, the leader of the sea snake could not bear it, and was ready to take revenge in the past. Then he was cut in half with a knife, and he couldn't die any longer. The remaining 2 bronze-level sea snakes were a little confused at what happened. But their doubts didn't last long. Tsubei slashed 2 slashes over and slashed them under the sword. The family needs to be neat and tidy. Tsubei nodded with satisfaction, shook off the blood bead on the Longian knife, and hung it back on his waist. Although this battle was quick and clear, and ended in an instant, he also successfully measured the damage of Gale Slash. It is indeed worthy of silver quality. 3 chi blades. The effect is outstanding. Tsubei believed that if he could be promoted to bronze rank, then throwing the chi blade more than 10 meters away should not be a problem. Upgrade, still have to upgrade. Tsubei muttered, and his heart. Yin Yanyan's exclamation sounded in her ears. Yeah, what an amazing human being. The Black Iron Senior can actually beat the silver level, even the elves can't do it. It's very difficult, unless they use potions, but in normal state they shouldn't be able to kill enemies by 2 ranks. Let's persuade the leader to live here. With this human being, safety is absolutely guaranteed. Good idea. Here comes the leader. Hurry up. 6699 The sound in my ears quickly moved away. A few flower fairies surrounded Avina, chatting with gusto. Tsubei was a bit dumbfounded. These flower fairies really didn't feel nervous at all, thanks to them being able to cross the ocean to get here. While thinking about it, Avina flew over surrounded by the flower fairies, gave a solemn salute, and said, "Katie's friend, thank you for your help." Tsubei was keenly aware that Avina's name had changed. Immediately returned the salute and reiterated, "I said, you are Katie's friends, that is my friend. Friends are in trouble, how can they stand idly by?" 35 After 2 sentences, the flower fairy next to Avina couldn't stop the admiration in her eyes. This human being is really getting more and more handsome. I really envy Katie, being able to live under the protection of such a strong man. Although Avina didn't see the expressions of her companions, she could feel their thoughts. After thinking for a moment, Avina said, "Islander Tsubei, I hope to obtain your protection. Our tribe has been drifting for too long and cannot bear more wind and waves. Can you let us settle on your island? I would like to offer my allegiance." That's what Tsubei was waiting for. But Avina made the request to him as the leader of the clan. Then he must respond equally. With a serious expression, Tsubei said, "Leader Avina, I accept your allegiance. From now on, this will be your new home." 35 That's great. Katie flew over and said to Avina with a smile on her face, "Sister Avina, we will be a family from now on." 95 The flower fairies who came with Avina also laughed and laughed, and the atmosphere was very harmonious. They finally don't have to wander. At this time, Augur, who was rowing, finally arrived at the shore, rushed to the sea snake that was hacked to death, wiped his saliva and said, "Island owner, what should I do with these sea snakes?" With a big wave of his hand, Tsubei said, "Ship it back, and you can handle it as you please." Augur's smiling eyes narrowed into a line, and he patted his chest to make a promise. "Island owner can rest assured, I will never waste materials. I will dispose of these 3 bronze-level sea snakes first, and save the silver-level one first and wait for me." Once the technology is in place and reused, it will definitely be able to create silver-level equipment at that time. 5 Tsubei said, "Don't be so restrained, just try your hands and practice. If I don't have enough materials, I will kill 2 sea snakes. It's not a big problem." 99 Augur didn't know how to answer. Good guy, the silver-level sea snake is like a weed on the roadside in the mouth of the island owner, and you can cut it if you want. But considering that he just hacked one to death, There is no fault in this statement. And Subei's confident words made Avina more and more convinced that her choice was not wrong. Most importantly, she remembered that Danwu Demon Slayer / was the skill of a demon slayer, and this occupational inheritance had not appeared for decades. Many native races in the island world did not have the inheritance, but appeared in an alien human. The hidden meaning here is what Avina values most. Avina gathered her thoughts and said to Subei, "Your Excellency, please come with me. Since we are going to settle on your island, the heart of this island should be accepted by you." 5. Subei was a little surprised. He thought that the island was just a larger island fragment that was photographed by the waves. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be a complete island, even the heart of the island. This was a real surprise. Under the leadership of Avina, Subei came to the center of the drifting island. There is a stone altar with a translucent crystal on top, which is the heart of the island. Avina said, "This heart of the island is somewhat special, and it can artificially control the direction of the island." Subei was startled. "Where's this island? It is completely a big ship." Thinking of this, Subei's heart moved. If he can integrate this island heart into his island heart, can he have the ability to move at sea? As if seeing Subei's thoughts, Avina continued, "If the two islands are merged, the related effects should also be inherited." Subei nodded. Before Avina flew to the altar, she put her hand on the heart of the island. Immediately, the island under his feet shook slightly and began to move. After the two islands came into contact, Avina released the control of the heart of the island. Subei also received prompts from the island world at the same time. Island owner Subei, will you integrate the new heart of the island? There is no need to choose. Subei directly chooses fusion. At the moment of confirmation, the heart of the island on the altar floated and flew towards Subei's island, and finally stopped in the central area, turning into a stream of light that merged into the soil. Immediately, the connection between the two islands began to merge. This process takes the island of Subei as the main body, and the drifting island of the Flower Fairy as a subsidiary. However, this is a complete island after all, and it is somewhat difficult to completely disassemble it and wrap it around the island like a scarf. When Avina moved the island just now, she had already adjusted her orientation. The two islands are in lateral contact. Subei's island will develop horizontally while the original length remains unchanged, and the overall shape is closer to a circle, rather than the previous long ellipse. The fusion takes a while. Eons, Subei asked the Earth Spirit to take the split body to transfer the plants on the island. Although there is not much left, how much can be saved? As for those tree people, they first took root on the spot, waited for them to recover, and then moved to the edge of the island for defense. Little Green's performance made the Flower Fairies keep exclaiming. As the two islands continued to merge, Avina flew to Subei and said, "Your Excellency, please grant me the magical power." 9. Subei almost forgot about this crop of celery. After all, the Flower Fairies Avina have already attached themselves, and even the heart of the island has been handed over. There is no fixed entry, and there is not much difference. In this vast ocean, without islands, they can't go anywhere else at all. And it's not necessary. It is rare to find a safe home, and the Flower Fairies don't want to leave at all. Subei looked at Avina and saw the determination in her eyes. This is not only an oath of loyalty, but also Avina's desire to be stronger. Obviously, the previous drifting experience made the Flower Fairy leader feel the importance of strength. Subei nodded and said, "Since you asked for this, then I will grant your wish." Advertisement: if you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89: The Dance of Flowers. Subei speculates that Avina asked for the entry because she saw something unusual about Katie. Of course, Avina doesn't know the system, so the power of the entry can only be attributed to the mysterious means. After coming up with this concept, Avina knew why the water spirit Zialu was special. I also probably know the reason why the gem cat appeared here. This is the guide of fate. Aviana yearns for it and wants to gain mysterious power. This request could not be easier for Subei. Refresh. 3 alternative entries appeared, one of which was impressively purple. What should I say? Avina's luck is pretty good. Flower dance, epic, ancient sacrificial dance, can improve the attributes of allies. This is actually a group buff. Subei looked at Avina and said, good luck, get ready, you will master new powers. Avina immediately replied, I'm ready. Fixed. Ding, the entry has been fixed. The target loyalty is constant at 100. Avina's eyes widened, her expression unbelievable. She could clearly feel that the mighty power flowed into her body from the void. There is also a lot of ancient knowledge in his mind. Subconsciously, Avina danced along. Boom tilde, boom tilde, boom tilde exclamation mark. The sound of ancient drums seemed to sound in Subei's ears. His muscles were warm, he clenched his fists, and he could clearly feel that his strength was much stronger. Although flower dance does not improve basic attributes and cannot enjoy the increase of killing god, it can obtain the professional bonus of demon slayer warrior. The effect of flower dance will be amplified twice on Subei. After a while, Avina stopped the flower dance and looked at Subei, feeling dizzy. Such divine martial arts, so splendid and majestic, it is like a god walking in the world. Avina immediately saluted and respectfully said, my lord, I will swear allegiance to you. Subei waved his hand and said softly, you don't have to, just call me the island owner. Lord, well, the island owner. Aviana was kind, with excitement on her face, and said quickly, this kind of power is really miraculous, I have never heard of it. 5 Subei put on an inscrutable look and said slowly, this is a secret. Avina nodded again and said, yes, it must be so. Subei felt Avina's confident eyes, and said that his level of fooling people seemed to have improved again. Then he calmed down and said, the flower fairy will continue to be managed by you in the future. Katie's temperament is too active and not suitable. In this regard, Avina naturally has no objection. Subei continued, what are the effects of the nectar recipe you have mastered? In fact, at first, Subei thought that the effect of nectar wine was determined by flowers. But only after I asked Katie did I know that there was a lot of knowledge in it. The effect of nectar wine, based on flowers, will produce diametrically opposite effects depending on the added accessories. Like golden pink roses, Katie will make nectar wines that increase longevity. And other flower fairies may brew nectar wine that increases power. On the other hand, even if the materials are different, as long as they are properly matched, they can brew nectar wine with the same effect, which is very magical. To put it bluntly, nectar wine is the secret recipe passed down from generation to generation. Katie and Avina are from different ethnic groups, and their nectar wines are naturally different. Subei asked this question because he wanted to know what kind of nectar wine Avina and the others would make, so as to determine the type of flowers to follow. Avina's loyalty is now full, so naturally she didn't hide it at all, hesitated for a while, and landed on Subei's shoulder, and began to take stock of the report. Overall, our nectar wine has 3 effects: maintaining physical vitality, promoting tree transformation, and repairing skin damage. Aviana's expression was a little embarrassed, and her voice was a little lower, and said, we used to live a very stable life. In addition to cultivating and transforming tree people, it is to improve our appearance. 6699 Subei was speechless. Guys, co-authoring the nectar formula you've been working on for so many years, just researching beauty. As expected of a flower fairy, this is in line with their character. However, what Avina said about promoting tree conversion made Subei very interested. He has also seen the tree man on the drifting island. Although they are only bronze level, the victory lies in their endurance. The tree trunk was cracked by the sea snake's tail before. As a result, Zialu sprinkled some water in the past, and the treeman regained his vitality on the spot, and even became stronger. BHCF. The tree man's combat power is not weak, and it is very good to support. It is suitable to supplement the island defense system. However, the number of tree people on Avina's island is too small, just a few. Obviously not enough. Sube was still thinking about how to increase the tree people, and now Avina said that they would brew a special nectar wine, which made Sube overjoyed. As for the other two nectar wines for beauty, they can also be brewed along the way. This is a sharp weapon for cutting leeks. For example, Shen Qingling, she is absolutely interested. Sube laughed twice, thinking about how to fool Shen Qingling at that time. Then he gathered his thoughts and asked, what materials are needed to brew these three kinds of nectar wine? Avina replied, island owner, the relevant materials and seeds are available, but we didn't have the opportunity to plant them before. Now that we have settled down, we can recultivate them as long as we give us a little land. 35 Sube immediately said, the golden pink rose field and the surrounding land are all allocated to you. Be sure to sow the seeds as quickly as possible. I will send Tu Ling and Zialu to help, and Guang Ling, and I will also divide you too. 35 Thank you Island Lord. Aviana smiled, then retreated and flew towards the golden pink rose field. Today is a good day. Sube hummed hometown ditty and came to a high place overlooking the whole island. The integration of the two islands is nearing completion. On the floating island of the Flower Fairy, all the plants have been transferred, and the land is a little monotonous. But it was difficult for Sube. He opened the trading center, looked at the price of the supernatural fruit, and smiled with satisfaction. No need to worry about not enough plants, there are so many leeks to be cut. 9D rank wind type supernatural fruits, and the return plants are enough to make Sube's island more prosperous. After a while, the slight tremor of the island disappeared. The two islands have been completely integrated. And Sube also received a tip from the island world. The heart of the island has been upgraded, and the island moving function is enabled. Please use this function with caution. The road ahead is full of crises! Sube came to the storage place of the heart of the island, which is the basement of the villa, and put his hand on the surface of the heart of the island. A strange feeling came to mind. As long as he is willing, he can use the heart of the island as the rudder and control the island to move forward. However, if you want to move the island, you need to spend life energy, which will have a certain impact on the plants on the island. The faster the speed, the greater the impact. If it is fixed, it will have no effect, just as it is now. Sube nodded secretly. This function may seem like a chicken rib, but it is actually very effective. This means that Sube has the ability to expedition. As long as you know the coordinates of other islands, you can drive to the islands. Sube smiled sinisterly. Those island owners who slandered him behind his back, don't reveal the coordinates, otherwise they will not have good fruit to eat. Of course, moving the island is also very risky. If you wander around, it is easy to drive the island to the habitat of monsters, and the fun will be great. So in a short time, Sube has no intention of moving the island. Wait for further strength, and then consider. Advertisement Chapter 90 The rating of the island exceeded 1,000 stars. After conquering the Flower Fairy such as Avina, and integrating the second island, Sube's strength has been greatly supplemented. And specific to the corresponding value, it is reflected in the island rating. Your island rating has been improved, and it is currently 802 stars! Your island rating has been improved, currently 937 stars! Your island rating has been improved. The current minus is 1053 stars! You are the first island owner with 1,000-star rating on the island this year, and the growth rate of plants is increased by an additional 5%! Sube had received a similar prompt when he had broken through 100 stars and 500 stars before. Received again now. According to convention, the newcomer rewards in the island world are every 1 and 5. If you want to get a similar reward next time, you must have an island rating of 5,000 stars. It seems exaggerated, but as long as the advantage is accumulated in the early stage or stable enough, then it is not difficult to upgrade the star rating later. These 3 rewards, in total, Increase the growth rate of plants on Subay Island by an additional 15%! This is a huge advantage. Enough to make him keep getting closer to the 5,000-star island rating. And most importantly, it's cumulative. It will not conflict with the life-nourishing effects of Magic Field and Little Green. Of course, it is not a simple addition, but a more complicated calculation method. But in any case, the growth cycle of the plants on Subay Island will be greatly shortened. He looked towards the magic field in the central area of the island. There is the blood spirit fruit tree that he first planted. The blood spirit fruit tree itself has the entry, extreme growth, and it is planted on the magic field, and it is carefully irrigated by Zialu every day. Now that he has been continuously blessed by the island world, the growth progress can be described as extremely gratifying. From the seed state, it has risen all the way, and now it is more than 2 meters high. Subay even suspected that before other plants matured, the blood spirit fruit tree would enter the fruiting stage and produce blood spirit fruit. And the blood spirit fruit is a treasure that can strengthen the body and prolong the lifespan. Its target customers are those senior island owners, as well as Blue Star's dignitaries. And the trainee island owner, nothing good can be squeezed out. At that time, it will definitely be taken back to the Blue Star auction. The price will be amazing. Subay smiled, as if seeing a steady stream of resources pouring into his pockets. And the announcement of the island world continues. With the transfer of plants on the island where the flower fairy drifts, the island rating is also constantly improving. 1001, 1002, 1003. Finally stopped at 1460 stars. This is not the end. You must know that there are still 9 power fruits being auctioned in the trading center. When the auction is over, Subay can get hundreds of special plants again, pushing the island's rating to over 1,600 without any pressure. Glancing at the chat area, Richard really jumped out again. He justly accused Subay of not talking about martial arts, and even asking for resources from the Dragon Kingdom regardless of wastage. Even if he is number 1 on the newcomers island rating list, this shouldn't be the case. This statement is completely untenable. I want to increase the island's rating by hundreds of stars by transferring materials in a short period of time. The loss of materials is almost 10 times. Even if it is to help the island owner of his own country to attack the monthly Rookie King, no one is willing to bear such a price. Blood loss. The gold level treasure chest rewarded by the monthly Rookie King can't make up for such a large consumption. Moreover, if the Dragon Kingdom really had such a large-scale material mobilization, other forces would have known it long ago, so why would they wait for Richard to analyze it here? Therefore, as soon as Richard finished speaking, he was immediately ridiculed by many rational island owners. It's unbearable to lose. After the previous storm, Richard temporarily stabilized his position in second place, and the island rating is also approaching 300 stars, and it is estimated that it will be reached in 2 days. As a result, in a blink of an eye, Subay's island rating surpassed 1,000 stars and approached 1,005. And the shadow of Richard was gone. How could Richard accept this reality? But I didn't dare to find Subay's theory in private, so I could only shout in the chat area. Then got ridiculed. Especially the island owner of Longo, shouted the key again, high-intensity alignment, so angry that Richard's nose was crooked, and he could only kick the 2 mushroom people to vent his anger. However, Richard is also the leader of the Lighthouse Country. He is shriveled, and the island owner of the Lighthouse Country can't stand idly by and end up on the line. The wind direction in the chat area is skewed again. The island owners of various countries began to tear each other. Subay watched for a while and then closed the chat area directly. Those people are really idle. While thinking about it, Duling came over with a folder and said, "Island owner, the statistics of the situation on the drifting island have been completed. 39 ask for flowers so fast. Well done." 39 Subay praised. Speak. Duling began to report, "Island owner, according to statistics, there are a total of 75 jars of nectar wine left on the drifting island, which can last until the next time the nectar wine is brewed. 15 silver level plants are all spirit flowers, and the nectar wine brewed is dedicated to activating tree people. There are 105 bronze level plants, 50 purple moonflowers and 55 cleansing flowers, which can brew different nectar wines. There are 673 black iron-class plants, and there are 6 species, according to the leader of Avena. Those are the corresponding auxiliary materials. 35 In addition, there are 9 flower fairies on the island in total. There are 11 remaining treants in total. 0 The above is the overall situation of the drifting island. 35 Du Ling handed the folder in her hand to Su Bei and said, "These are statistics." Su Bei took the folder, took a few glances and tucked it under his arm, then said, "Is there any problem with the flower fairy?" Except for Avena and Katie, the rest of the flower fairies have no fixed entries, so you have to watch them. Du Ling said, "The island owner can rest assured that there is no major problem. They are all studying how to build the hut, and have no other ideas at all." Hearing this, Su Bei sighed. It's a miracle that these flower fairies can control the drifting island to get here. Du Ling also agrees. The flower fairy itself is very weak in combat, and there are not many tree people left on the island. As a result, they are stunned to cross the ocean, overcome many crises, and arrive here all the way. Such a small probability event made Su Bei have to sigh that good luck is really important. After pondering for a moment, Su Bei said, "Don't worry about the flower fairies, let them calm down for a while." Before, the plants on their island, the earth spirits were all transferred around the golden pink rose field. In addition, there must be more space for them to sow the seeds. Du Ling nodded again and said, "Island owner, rest assured, leave this matter to me." After saying goodbye, he left, called Tu Ling, who was passing by, and started a new job. Su Bei opened the trading center and waited with peace of mind. The auction is about to end, and these plants are just planted on the extra land to dry. Advertisement. Chapter 91. The merman Lulu arrives again. Bad news, the auction has ended. Please claim your auction proceeds in time. The announcement of the island world soon sounded, and Su Bei looked at the hundreds of special plants in the trading center and showed a satisfied smile. Although many of these apprentice island owners are new faces, they are very rich. The price of the power fruit auction this time is completely comparable to the previous auction on the eve of the storm. The only fly in the ointment is probably that there are not many bronze level plants, and the main body is black iron. The 9 wind type supernatural fruits were exchanged for 54 bronze level plants and more than 500 black iron level plants. Su Bei looked at the auction record. It was found that several trainee island owners bid very frequently. Grace of the Sun Never Sets, Turner of the Kangaroo Country, Park Pule of the Stick Country, Gallop of the Maple Country. The name is unfamiliar, but the bid is fierce. Su Bei opened the island rating list and compared it for a moment, and found that the rankings of these island owners were not low. Although not in the top 10, it is still in the 20s or 30s. After the storm ended, the island world ushered in a short-lived peace, and the forces of all parties began to exert their strength, preparing to support more trainee island owners and have a greater right to speak in the island world. Su Bei began to ponder a question. Didn't the special affairs team say that they would support him vigorously? Why is there no movement? Before, many special plants were transferred. But Su Bei's island is developing too fast, and looking back, it's not enough. However, Su Bei also knows that there is no affiliation between himself and the special team, and the cooperation between the two parties is limited to the right of first refusal. The task force was under no obligation to support him. In fact, Su Bei was thinking about it wrong. It's not that the special team doesn't want to support him, it's that they don't know how to support him. Originally, some supplies had been raised, and they were going to be handed over by Shen Qingling. As a result, Su Bei's island rating jumped up and down, approaching 1,500 stars. When the special team looked at what they had prepared, they couldn't figure it out, so they could only prepare again. This time, they're going to get some high-value seeds. This ensures that even if Su Bei's island rating continues to rise, it can keep up. This will inevitably lead to delays. Su Bei didn't care too much. He took out all the plants in the trading center, called 2 earth spirit splitters, and asked them to be responsible for transferring the plants to the empty area next to them. After these plants were planted, Subei's island rating began to rise again. As he predicted, it broke through 1016 and finally stopped at 1634 stars. This rating, to be honest, exceeded Subei's expectations. It has been less than a week since he became a trainee island owner. The result has been something that many newcomers have been unable to achieve in a year. The fundamental to achieve this is the system. If it wasn't for the Entra-killing god, Subei would not have been able to kill the demonized anaconda while exploring the first enchanted island to obtain the dark tree. It was the acquisition of the dark tree that helped Subei accumulate a great early advantage. Nearly 100 dark underworld fruits. The rewards are simply unimaginable. Later, it was also because of the second mythical entry that he obtained the inheritance of the slaughtering samurai, thus hacking the sea general Seika to death. Otherwise, in the face of that powerful silver-level enemy, Subei would have died long ago. What's the matter behind? Recalling the past, Subei expressed his heartfelt emotion. The system is so terrifying. Restraining his mind, Subei saw that the jewel cat was running over with the rock soldier again, and his heart tightened immediately. Every time this guy appears, he always tells him something unexpected. The flower fairy that I discovered in the morning, what will I find again? Meow meow meow. The gem cat came up and called a few times. Subei was slightly relieved. Not the enemy, but the merman Lulu who came yesterday. The merman came yesterday to confirm the news of Admiral Seika, and left after confirming. However, the Mingwang pearls they sent were not low in value, which was of great help for Subei to conquer the flower fairy. So Subei's perception of the merman is not bad. Now that the merman Lulu came again, Subei naturally wanted to treat him with courtesy. When they came to the beach, Lulu the shark also arrived at the same time. After seeing Subei, Lulu showed a sincere smile and said, "Lord Subei, we meet again." Later, Lulu was surprised and said, "Your Excellency, your island has changed a lot." Subei said casually, "There is a group of flower fairies, and they have settled on my island, and the two islands have merged." "So, it is," Lulu suddenly said. "We were still guessing where the island came from, but because we were busy repairing our home, we ignored it, and we didn't expect it to be a flower fairy." Speaking of this, Lulu said in a low voice, "Your Excellency is worthy of being chosen by the goddess of luck. This luck is amazing." 55 Subei smiled without saying a word, with an unfathomable look. Lulu felt more and more that Subei was unfathomable. After pretending to be enough, Subei asked, "Your Excellency Lulu, I don't know what is going on here today." 35 The merman's homeland was attacked by demonized creatures before, and now it is a busy period of reconstruction. If it wasn't for a special situation, Lulu would definitely not come. Speaking of this matter, Lulu's expression became a little dignified and said, "Your Excellency Subei, forgive me, I have brought some bad news." Subei thought that he had really guessed it, so he calmed down and said, "Your Excellency, it's okay to say it." Lulu nodded and said, "We smelled blood in the ocean current. If nothing else, it should be the sharks hunting." Lulu went on to explain, "It's the breeding season for the sharks right now, and they need to eat." 35 There are sharks in the island world, and there are many more. When Subei rescued a gem cat before, he encountered an Irondeep shark. Irondeep sharks are just one of many sharks. As for the shark breeding season that Lulu said, Subei knew it. It has been 100 years since human beings discovered the island world, and many materials have been recorded. Like shark breeding season. At this time, the sharks of the island world become more aggressive, hunting along the currents. Logically speaking, the shark is in the sea, and Subei is on the island, so it shouldn't matter. Not so. Sharks this season will hit the island too. 5. If it is just in the forward direction of the shark group, then it will be self-sufficient. Faced with these graded sharks, steel will be blasted, not to mention islands. It is also possible that the island would collapse if it was hit too much. After calming down, Subei grasped the key information keenly. Ocean currents. Subei moved his eyes and asked, "Lord Lulu, you mean that my island is located on the hunting path of the sharks?" Lulu's expression became more and more ashamed, as if it was because of him that the shark was brought here, And he lowered his head and said, "Lord Subei, as you think, the ocean current is passing under your island, and the sharks are approaching. It is expected that it will arrive by tomorrow morning at the latest." Subei thought that his book of luck was fake. It hasn't been stable for 2 days, but I encountered a shark runaway again. Outrageous. Advertisement Chapter 92, 36 Strategies. Compared with other monster invasions, sharks make Subei feel more difficult. Mainly because they don't land, they just hit the island underwater. When the island becomes weak, it will rise to the surface, and the island will be swallowed up with people. Taking a step back, even if these sharks don't dive and swim on the surface, it's not easy to kill them. Too fast. Sharks are famous swimmers. Under the catalysis of Reiki, have a stronger body. It was really like a thunderbolt, and it was over in a swish. Even Subei, it is not so easy to face the sharks. The news that Lulu brought is definitely bad news. And the sharks follow the ocean currents, and they will arrive in a day at most. Subei pondered for a moment and asked, "How big is the ocean current at the bottom of the sea?" He was ready to avoid this fight. At least not on the main path of the sharks. There is no one who can fight underwater, except for him on the entire island. Although Dueling and Zhuan Menaiu were both supernatural powers, they could only attack on the Sand 17 beach. Once in the water, it is definitely not a shark's opponent. As for Augur, it's even worse. The dwarves are basically landlubbers, and it is the limit that they can maintain unsinkable. It is really difficult for them to fight underwater. In many unfavorable situations, it is unwise to fight against sharks. There is a saying that the 36 strategies are the best. Just got the ability to move the island, just in handy. However, you must first determine the area of the shark's activity. Lulu said quickly, "The ocean currents come from the north, and the total coverage area is about 200 nautical miles. Your island's overall position is westward." 35 While talking, Lulu drew a schematic diagram on the beach. Subei calculated that his island was about 60 nautical miles away from the western edge of the ocean current. This location is dangerous. It is not in the central area of the ocean current, and the probability of encountering the main force of the shark group is small. But to really say how safe it is, it's not that much. Because the shark groups that come with the ocean currents are very large. And even if his island is integrated with the drifting island of the Flower Fairy, the area is less than 4 square kilometers, and the foundation is not stable. If you are really hit by a shark group, the loss will be huge. So have to run. According to Subei's calculations, as long as it moves 30 nautical miles to the west, although it is not completely out of the current position, it is relatively remote and the number of sharks is within the acceptable range. Assuming that the sharks will arrive in 10 hours, as long as the speed reaches 3 nautical miles per hour, the expected goal can be achieved and the damage this time can be reduced. But just in case, it's best to increase the speed a little bit, and the speed is 4 to 5 nautical miles per hour, which is very stable. With this in mind, Subei said decisively, "Thank you for your reminder, Your Excellency Lulu. This news is very useful." Lulu said ashamedly, "Your Excellency Subei killed the Sea General Seika, and has a great kindness to our clan. This time the sharks attacked, we can only watch. It is really a shame." Subei waved his hand. "I can't say that. Facing the sharks, even the entire mermaid clan has to shy away, let alone the Ike clan." "Don't worry, Your Excellency Lulu, I have my own countermeasures, and I can solve the problem by integrating the mobility acquired by the island." 35 Hearing this, Lulu showed a surprised look and said, "Really? It's great that your island can move." However, Lulu immediately thought of the drawbacks of moving the island, and said after a moment of pondering, "Based on the size of your island, the speed is maintained below 5 nautical miles per hour, and the impact on plants is within a controllable range, and it will be replenished in a few days. The faster it goes, the longer the recovery time." Subei nodded and said, "I think so too. I am going to maintain the speed in the 4 seas. Not necessarily to leave the ocean current completely, just to the edge." 35 Lulu understood Subei's intention and said, "Is Your Excellency Subei going to hunt some sharks, It's also appropriate. The value of sharks is not low. By the way, in which direction is your excellency moving? 5 Su Bei pointed to the west. There, keep going. Okay, I get it. Lulu nodded and continued. This time, we brought some tenacity seaweed and rooted them below the water surface of the island, which can effectively alleviate the impact damage. The tenacity seaweed that Lulu said is a kind of special plant, most of which are black iron grade, with poor taste and no effect of increasing properties. But they are very tough, clinging to the underwater rock formations of the island, acting as a buffer zone. With or without buffering, the difference is huge. With tenacious algae, the impact damage of sharks will be much lower. With a smile on his face, Su Bei said, Your Excellency, Lulu's gift is so timely. It's really useful to have a good relationship with these native races. The previous Mingwang pearls, together with the tenacity seaweed this time, are very practical regardless of how valuable they are. Su Bei thought for a while, and asked the earth spirit to bring the body of the silver level sea snake over, and said, Lord Lulu, there is nothing to give back, you can take this sea snake back. Lulu was shocked when he looked at the sea snake that was split in half. He read it right. This is silver level. The value of this sea snake corpse is too precious. Lulu waved his hands again and said, Your Excellency Su Bei, take this sea snake back quickly, we deserve it. Su Bei persuaded several times. Seeing that Lulu's attitude was firm, he could only let the earth spirit transport a bronze rank sea snake over. If you don't accept the silver rank, then this bronze rank must not be rejected. Seeing this, Lulu could only accept it, and then said, Your Excellency Su Bei's gift, I accepted it on behalf of the clan. It's not too early. If we want to move the island, the sooner the better. We'll bring some more tenacious seaweed over here, fix it directly underwater, and it won't float up at that time. 5 Su Bei nodded. All right, just take 2 trips, and you all go back early to strengthen your defenses. Thank you very much for your kindness. Lulu bowed and saluted, then dragged the sea snake's body with the clan and disappeared into the water. Su Bei looked at the sea, calmed his mind, and told everyone about the shark group, which did not cause any panic. Everyone has absolute confidence in Su Bei. 583 Even a flower fairy without a fixed entry feels at ease. The silver level sea snake was hacked to death before, which left a deep impression on them. The mere sharks are nothing to worry about. Can still kill with a knife. And the island can also move, which is more stable. Su Bei was very satisfied when he saw the popularity of the crowd, and he came to the heart of the island and put his hand on it. To be honest, Su Bei didn't expect to use the Shanghai Island mobile function so soon. After determining the life energy output level, the island began to vibrate slightly and moved slowly and steadily in the ocean. The speed is 4 nautical miles per hour, neither fast nor slow, which is equivalent to the speed of brisk walking or jogging. When the island moved, there was no need for Su Bei to stare here, so he returned to the ground and came to a high place to observe and be alert. By the way, mark the gem cat. If this guy meows twice again, the fun will be great. During this time, the merman appeared in the distance, dragging long seaweeds behind him, and swam under Su Bei's island. They are the algae in the fixed tendon. With these seaweeds and the shifting of the island's position, the damage to the shark group will be minimized this time. It's not Su Bei's character to stick to defense. He wants to maximize his interests while defending. Sharkskin is an excellent raw material for leather armor, and their teeth are so sharp that they can be used as arrows with a little grinding. However, to hunt sharks, you need some weapons and equipment. Advertisement Chapter 93 Playing To hunt sharks, a special harpoon is essential. Blue Star's alloys are not enough. But this problem is easy to solve. You don't need to let hunger create it. Just find Shen Qingling. The special team must have stock. In the island world, in addition to dealing with the invasion of monsters, it is also essential to guard against sharks. Many islands are located in shark-infested areas, and the life of those island owners is to eat, sleep, and fight sharks. All kinds of metal harpoons. I want to come to the special team. With this in mind, Su Bei decisively sent a message to Shen Qingling. Is there any shark hunting equipment? On the other side, Shen Qingling was taking stock of supplies, and after receiving Su Bei's news, he replied, "Yes, how much is required?" 39 Su Bei likes to deal with this kind of refreshing person, and replied, "Is there any kind of harpoon launcher that is easy to operate and can be used by flower fairies?" There are not many people on Su Bei's island. If you really want to hunt sharks wildly, you must let the flower fairies also join the battle. Their task is simple, just aim and shoot. Mounting the harpoon is the responsibility of the rock soldier. Shen Qingling's reply did not disappoint Su Bei. "Yes, how much is required?" 39 Let's get 10 first. Su Bei's reply almost made Shen Qingling choke to death by saliva. 10? Isn't there only one flower fairy on your island? And that's not how you call people. But soon, Shen Qingling thought of another possibility. Is it possible? It's not that Su Bei wants to make that flower fairy top 10. But he really has 10 flower fairies. It wasn't the flower fairy that was changed from Richard's hands in the morning. How did one turn into 10 in the blink of an eye? Shen Qingling was in a mess. But also wisely did not ask more, but replied, "A launcher comes standard with 5 black iron harpoons. Do you need extra?" "Of course. Is there a harpoon that can hunt silver-level sharks?" Su Bei's answer made Shen Qingling doubt life again. What the hell does this guy want? Hunting silver sharks, thanks to him. Shen Qingling replied, "If you want to hunt sharks of this level, it may not be enough to rely on harpoons alone. Not to mention whether you can break the defense. The hit rate is the biggest problem." Su Bei smacked his lips regretfully. It seemed that he thought of the silver level too simply. At that time, when the silver level shark really appears, he will have to take action. At the moment, I can only reply, what about the bronze level? This level can always be killed. It's a bit difficult, but as long as the attack is covered, a harpoon will always hit. Shen Qingling replied, "If you have 10 harpoon launchers, it is enough. The launcher can be made of black iron, but it must be matched with bronze harpoon." Shen Qingling sent another message, "If you want to make money by hunting sharks, it is very difficult, and the hit rate must be maintained at more than 30% to be possible." 99 Su Bei replied, "I'm just playing around." Seeing this reply, Shen Qingling's mentality was almost out of balance. Sure enough, it's a man's mouth to deceive people. Do ordinary people buy bronze harpoons and play with them? Shen Qingling decided not to have the same knowledge as Su Bei, and directly quoted, "The unit price of the black iron harpoon launcher is 150,000 yuan, and it comes with 5 black iron harpoons. If you want 10, I will give you a 20% discount, 100,000, 200,000, 100,000 bronze-level harpoons. How much do you want?" Seeing the price, Su Bei couldn't help smacking his tongue. A cannon rang for 1,000 taels of gold. A harpoon flew out, and it was 100,000 yuan. 10 flower fairies fired a salvo, directly destroying 1 million. This is still the simple forging process of the harpoon, and the cost is all in the material. If you change to other equipment, 100,000. Don't even think about it. The batch of equipment that Su Bei sold before, the middle-grade black iron, was worth 100,000. After pondering for a moment, Su Bei replied, 100 bronze harpoons. As for the black iron grade, Su Bei didn't plan to ask for it. With Du Ling and Zhuan Menaiu here, black iron sharks will die as often as they come. Only those at the bronze rank need equipment coordination. Shen Qingling was on business and quickly replied, "If there are 100 harpoons, I can give a maximum of 30% discount for my privileges, a total of 7 million, plus the harpoon launcher, a total of 8.2 million. This price cannot be considered expensive. Bronze-level harpoons are involved, after all. The craftsmanship is simple, but the materials are rare and worth the price. Su Bei thought for a while and asked, "Can I pay on credit? After I finish playing the shark, I will pay with the shark." Shen Qingling was about to be amused. This guy actually came to the special affairs team with empty gloves and white wolf. Generally speaking, definitely not. But Su Bei was different. He opened his mouth, It must work. Shen Qingling received a notice from the special affairs team very early, asking for a special case for Su Bei, just a few million equipment, not a big deal at all. You know, with Su Bei's current island rating, it's not difficult to find Longo for an interest-free loan of several $100 million. To be honest, Shen Qingling couldn't figure out how Su Bei managed to get the island's rating to 1,600 stars in less than a week. But it also speaks to the value of Su Bei. As the representative of the special affairs team, Shen Qingling naturally wanted to maintain this relationship, and immediately took out the corresponding equipment from the warehouse and put it on the trading column. Su Bei accepted it, called Zhuan Menyu, and asked her to bring the Earth Spirits to place these harpoon launchers on the island. With a Black Iron class launcher, it is not difficult to hit the harpoon for 2 or 3 kilometers. Therefore, there is no need to deliberately select a fixed area, just place it at a high place in the central area. At that time, according to the position of the shark, just turn the gun head. While installing the launcher, Su Bei also saw the mermen in the distance, and they waved goodbye on the water. They've made 3 trips to seaweed, and now they're going back to defend their homeland. The arrival of the sharks not only affected Su Bei, but also put the Ike clan under pressure. Crazy sharks can appear in their field of vision no matter what the sharks are, and that is the prey. There are tenacious seaweeds on the bottom of the sea as buffers, harpoon launchers on the heights, Duling and Zhuan Menyu on the coast, Li Qianhao, and finally Su Bei in charge. The preparations are almost done. In fact, this time, if there is no island moving function, the current preparation is definitely not enough. But because Su Bei's island can move, it is completely different if it moves 30 to 40 nautical miles to the edge. Defensive pressure will be reduced several times. There will even be a blessing in disguise, hunting a large number of sharks and getting rich rewards. Shark skin and teeth are good materials for crafting gear. And really, to say the most valuable, in fact, or shark fin. Of course, Su Bei wasn't a fan of this stuff. But that doesn't prevent you from selling at a high price. For the dignitaries, Blue Star's sharks are boring to eat, they must be the sharks of the island world, and they are energetic. The higher the level, the more expensive the price. After thinking about it like this, Su Bei suddenly looked forward to it. The sharks that come along the ocean currents are completely moving banknotes. Advertisement. Chapter 94, The Use of the Quiet Stone. After arranging the defense matters, the time came to noon. Su Bei thought about what happened in the morning and felt very fulfilled. The flower fairy Katie was exchanged from Richard first, and then the gem cat found the flower fairy's drifting island, and the merman Lulu came to inform the sharks. In the end, when things were all over, Su Bei realized that it was actually time for lunch. Does time go by so slowly? Su Bei muttered secretly. While thinking about it, Du Ling's call floated from a distance. There is a saying that there is a problem with his head because he is not active when eating. Su Bei called Zhuan Menyu and walked to the villa. Augur also put down his hammer, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and walked out of the blacksmith shop. In the distance, under the leadership of Avina, the flower fairies came flying with laughter. Such a scene made Su Bei quite proud. This island is full of hope. Everyone took their seats at the dinner table, with Du Ling and Zhuan Menyu on the left, Augur and Avina and other flower fairies on the right. Flower fairies only drink nectar wine, they basically do not eat other food. To this end, Augur specially created a set of exquisite tableware. Su Bei felt as if he was possessed by a bald head, and was about to say that he was tired of logging. As usual, we still eat and chat. Augur drank a glass of ale, then looked at Su Bei with burning eyes, rubbed his hands and said, "Master Island Master, I heard the gem cat say that you have a secluded stone in your hand." Su Bei patted his head. If Og hadn't mentioned it, he'd have forgotten about it. Having said that, where did he put the secluded stone in 587? It was used to press tents before, and villas were built in the back, but I forgot about it. Zhuan Menyu said from the side. Island owner, the box containing the secluded magic stone is in the underground storage room. Yes, yes, yes. Su Bei nodded again, and then said, Og, what is so special about this secluded stone? I have checked the information, but all of them are vague. Some say that they make equipment, and some say that they make potions after grinding. You dwarves deal with all kinds of ores, so you should know the use of secluded stones. 35 Augur replied, the two uses mentioned by the island owner are actually correct. As a rare material, secluded stones can be used to create equipment and refine potions. However, what really wants to reflect the greatest value of the secluded stone is to cast the secluded energy cannon with the secluded stone as the core. Ghost Cannon. Subei came to the spirit. This thing sounds fierce. Heat weapons cannot be used in the island world, and Blue Star's artillery cannot be shipped. And even if it is smuggled in, BHCF is of little use. Due to the interference of the aura, the power of the thermal weapon will be drastically reduced. The power is small, and it will also cause the boycott of the island world. So after the first few years of discovering the island world, no one thought about bringing artillery to the island world. With that kung fu, it is better to cultivate two supernatural beings. The power of the power user comes from the special fruit of the island world, which is recognized by the island world and will not cause any serious consequences. However, although the island world does not allow the use of artillery, there is another form of artillery. Cannons with various rare materials as the core. They are collectively called energy cannons. Subdivided down, there are different names. For example, with a secluded stone as the core, it is called a secluded energy cannon. Using the special type of the secluded stone that automatically absorbs energy, the energy is compressed and concentrated in the barrel, and then launched to cause a devastating blow. Now, Og said about the Jina cannon, which immediately made Subei excited. If this thing can be created, it can be much stronger than the ability user. Caliber is justice, range is truth. Real men should play cannons. Subei didn't expect that he could get such a reward after eating a meal. He is really empty guarding Baoshan without knowing it. But then again, even if Subei knew before that Yashi could make another energy cannon, he couldn't start. The training he received at Blue Star did not include casting nether energy cannons. In addition, Shen Qingling knew that he obtained the secluded stone, but he did not mention the secluded energy cannon. Obviously, the special team also doesn't know how to cast this thing. In other words, I know the process flow, but I just can't make it. The latter is more likely. After all, the energy cannon is the product of the island world, and it was born based on the rules here, which is completely different from Blue Star. It is obviously unrealistic for human beings to fully understand the magic of the island world in just 100 years. After some thought, Subei felt that it was reasonable for him to ignore Yaoshi. Because I didn't know what to do with this thing before. If Og hadn't mentioned it, I'm afraid it would have been put in the storage room to eat ashes. But since Augur mentioned it, he probably has a way to deal with it. Otherwise, why mention it? Take it over to see it. Collecting his thoughts, Subei asked, Og, can you cast a nether energy cannon? Og fierce nodded and then shook his head, completely bewildering Subei. Augur explained, Lord Island Master, I know a little bit, but I can't fully use the power of the secluded stone. At most, I can kill a bronze-level enemy with one shot, and the charging time will be longer. Subei ignores the shortcomings and then asks, can it be improved in the future? 35 Augur nodded, yes, if you find the casting master of our family, and then find the high-level magister, you can recast the nether energy cannon and improve various attributes. 995 Since the nether energy cannon was mentioned, Augur simply told everything he knew. Islander, our energy cannons are different from those in your world. For example, the secluded energy cannon, the secluded stone is not integrated into the gun barrel, but placed on the base, and the energy is concentrated and compressed by the rune of the gun body. The most important thing is to modify the size of the secluded stone, and no additional processing is required. 35 With that said, Subei understood. It really is completely different from Blue Star. Subei immediately made the decision, I'll leave this to you. Don't consider the power and rate of fire, just make the nether energy gun first. 39 Augur nodded again and again, his face flushed with excitement. It is an honor to be able to cast nether energy cannons by hand. Augur increasingly felt that it was an honor to follow Subei. Even before they were exiled to the enchanted island, there were no secluded stones in their clan. Even if there are materials of the same level, Augur can't touch it. But it is different here. He, a dwarf with poor technology, can preside over the casting of nether energy cannons. This kind of grace made Augur determined not to live up to Subei's sustenance. After eating, Aug immediately ran to the underground storage room and brought up Yashi together with the box. Opening the heavy box of the magic sealing stone, Augur's eyes were full of tenderness when he looked at the dark stone. And the flower fairies retreated several meters, obviously resisting the energy attribute of the secluded stone. Subei smiled slightly, and it was time for him to play again. Go up to the previous refresh command. 2 blue and 1 blue, not bad. Subei looked directly at the blue. Excellent entry. Quick charge, excellent level, speed up the energy absorption rate of the secluded stone, and the item level is upgraded to the lower gold level to be able to upgrade the secluded stone to gold quality. This excellent entry is also considered to be the best of the best. Subei directly chose to fix. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. The light flashed, the color of the secluded stone became deeper, and the surrounding air seemed to be lowered by several degrees. Augur looked surprised, but calmed down quickly. The island owner's miraculous means, he has seen it before. After closing the box, Aug said solemnly, "Island owner, rest assured, I will do my best to cast a qualified nether energy cannon." Advertisement. Chapter 95. An old friend's home. Although Aug brought the secluded stone to the blacksmith shop, it would still be a few days before he started casting the secluded energy cannon. He had to build Du Ling and Zhuan Menaiu's light armor first. This is not difficult. Both sets of armor are light armor, and with Aug's craftsmanship, they can be completed in 3 days. Subei didn't rush. Even if you start casting nether energy cannons now, you won't be able to keep up with fighting the sharks. Rather take it slow. Subei knew that Seiko worked hard and couldn't eat hot tofu in a hurry. The casting of the nether energy cannon can't go out a slight miss. The loss of the secluded stone is nothing, but if something happens to Aug, that is the real loss. Subei is also not sure, when will he meet the dwarves again. Even if you meet, if it is a complete clan, it is not easy to recruit. The nether energy cannon will be cast slowly. Anyway, according to Augur's calculations, it can be completed in at most half a month. Don't rush this time. After the meal, under the leadership of Avina, the flower fairy returned to the rose field and continued to brew nectar wine. Du Ling practiced her abilities in the open space. She has a sense of urgency. Zhuan Menaiu was also awakened, and she also had more weapons. Du Ling, who was the first to follow Subei, felt that she could not be compared. It is taking the time to absorb the magic energy crystals from before. For Subei, absorbing the magic crystals is as simple as eating and drinking. But for Du Ling, it is not so easy. She needs to decompose the negative energy in the magic crystal, and then she can absorb the next piece. As such, it will inevitably take more time. On the other hand, Zhuan Menaiu returned to Blue Star and continued to deal with company affairs. Establishing a trade network is not urgent, as there is no output to sell to Blue Star on Subei Island. However, the screening of candidates for abilities needs to be stepped up. After 3 consecutive blessings from the island world, Subei was pleasantly surprised to find that the growth progress of the fruit trees and sunflowers was very gratifying. Sunflowers, in particular, will ripen in a week. The scorching sunflowers on Subei Island can awaken E-level fire-type abilities. In the island world, fire-type abilities will be suppressed, but in Blue Star, it will have no effect. At that time, find a few suitable candidates, let them use the sunflower awakening, and specialize in the company of Blue Star. The Hangyuang fruit tree is expected to start bearing fruit in half a month, and it is about 25 days from the final picking time. Hangyuango can awaken D-level light-type abilities, select suitable candidates from the company to awaken, and then come to the island to station after fixing the entry. These are all on the agenda. Subei's island rating has increased too fast, and it is very attractive to monsters. The sea snake that appeared in the morning was attracted by the drifting island of the flower fairies on the one hand, and on the other hand, it also vaguely sensed the abundant life energy here, and wanted to have a feast. It's just that they were unlucky and met Subei. It is necessary to increase the combat power appropriately. However, Subei will not rashly increase personnel. He is the means of having a fixed entry to ensure loyalty. But many things cannot stand scrutiny. In fact, relatively speaking, Subei is more willing to recruit the native races of the island world. Because they have a natural worship for the strong. Subei's strength, not to mention how top it is, at least it is not difficult to sweep below the gold level. Without using the entry in the morning, he won the allegiance of the flower fairy such as Avina. Of course, there is a reason why the flower fairy is about to run out of water. More importantly, he killed the silver level sea snake with one knife. The heroic and invincible image directly convinced the flower fairy. However, it is not easy to recruit native races. The main reason is that the number is scarce, coupled with the fact that the active areas do not overlap. In this respect, humans are different. There are many ordinary people in Blue Star. If you grab a handful, as long as you are willing to smash resources, you can pull up an army of power users. How to choose? The choice is still in Subei's hands. He has asked Zhuan Menaiu to screen the personnel, and after confirming that there is no problem, he will add some to the island. Collecting his thoughts, Subei's attention was attracted by the small black dot in the distance. As the island continued to advance, the outline of the black spot became clearer, and Subei knew what it was. An island. But it's not complete, it's a bit tattered. The estimated area is 0.4 square kilometers. If you guessed correctly, it should be an island whose heart has been destroyed. Speaking of which, the island can move now. Can't I drift slowly, looking for abandoned islands to merge and absorb? Subei pinched his chin and thought secretly, and at the same time ordered the earth spirit to fetch the Longian sword from the blacksmith shop. At the same time he discovered the tattered island. Some old friends were approaching. It's an ironclad lizard. Islander, let me come. Du Ling also noticed the movement in the distance and took the initiative to ask for flowers. Subei took the Longian sword back again, nodded and said, okay, then I'll leave it to you. There were 6 iron-armored lizards attacking, so it was no challenge. After Du Ling got the answer, she came to the beach, condensed a dark green energy ball in her hand, and immediately launched it into the distance. Golem. The ironclad lizard turned its belly and floated along the waves to the beach. The second batch of iron-armored lizards went into the water, and was taken away by Du Ling with a venom ball. Repeating this cycle, there will be no iron-armored lizards on that island anymore. Subei thought for a while and said, the iron-armored lizards that appeared before were all from this island. Du Ling observed for a moment and said, it is very likely that the ironclad lizards are not creatures that are good at long-distance movement, and this should be their lair. From a straight-line distance, this lizard island is not far from the island of Subei. It's just that his island couldn't move before, so he couldn't detect the surrounding environment. Now, in order to avoid the main sharks, the island has moved westward, and as a result, the habitat of the ironclad lizards has been discovered. Subei thought for a moment, then said, look at it. If it is not corroded by the devil energy, it will be absorbed directly. The island owner is wise. After a course correction, Subei controlled the island to stop before Lizard Island. Then take Du Ling to the island to check. The dozens of ironclad lizards that had attacked before were probably the main force on the island. After they were killed by Du Ling, the remaining ironclad lizards disappeared. After inspection, the island was not corroded by demonic energy. But also not much value. The mud on the island has been wiped out under the slap of the waves for many years, and what remains is only black rocks. As for plants, there are no grasses at all, at most some moss that has been eaten. But Subei didn't pick either. This lizard island cannot increase the planting area, but it can reinforce the underwater part of the island. With these rocks there, the foundation is more stable. Controlled the contact between the island and the lizard island. After half an hour, The lizard island ceased to exist and became the cornerstone of Subei Island. Subsequently, Subei took control of the island and moved on. But he also noticed something unusual. Under the water, panicked sea fish swam fast. Even in a panic, he crashed to death on an underwater rock. It was clear that the sharks were getting closer. These sea fish are the ones who have escaped here. Advertisement: if you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96: Sharks Appear. The appearance of the escaped sea fish is not good news. Just as the absorption of Lizard Island has been completed, Subei once again controls the island to advance. At this time, more than 3 hours have passed since the departure, and the sky is gradually approaching dusk. There is a kind of atmosphere that the mountains and rains are about to come and the wind is full of buildings. But it was far worse than the previous storm Eve. That's called the color change of the sky and the earth. It is as dark in the early morning as it is at night. Now it's a complete drizzle. But to be safe, Subei still called Juan Menaiu back from Blue Star. At this stage, her main job over there is to screen candidates for abilities. This matter is not in a hurry, and there is no problem in coming back. Juan Menaiu naturally would not object. For her, in fact, she wished she could stay on the island to accompany Subei. However, Subei gave her a task to complete. Now that I receive the return notification, I leave the candidate under review directly, and send it back directly after saying a few words. The candidates looked at each other. 587. This Vice President Juan is really resolute. After returning to the island, Juan Menaiu held a long bow and stood guard at a high place. No clue could escape her sight. Subei was very calm, patted Juan Menaiu on the shoulder, and said, "Don't be too nervous. If the sharks are approaching, the movement will not be small, and now reserve your physical strength." 5. When the shark Lulu brought the news, it was estimated that the latest arrival time of the sharks would be tomorrow morning, with a maximum buffer time of about 20 hours. But Subei is not so optimistic. He is based on 10 hours. If it was 10 hours, then the battle would probably take place at night. It is not appropriate to consume too much physical strength now. Let the earth spirit condense into 2 chairs. Subei and Juan Menaiu sit and look at the sea. Juan Menaiu's cheeks were slightly red, and her heart beat a little faster. She is enjoying the peace now. If it can last, all the better. It's a pity that Subei didn't have so much leisure time, so he called Guangling over. There are 5 light spirits on the island. Among them, Xiaoshan has fixed entries. Of the other 4 light spirits, one of the excellent entries, Marker, had been swiped before, but it was not fixed. In order to face the coming shark swarm, and also to expand his earnings, Subei felt the need to do a little bit of preparation. He has asked Juan Menaiu to buy a batch of searchlights. If the sharks arrive at night, they can illuminate the sea. But not enough. The sharks here are moving too fast. Especially those that are bronze or even silver. They must be locked in position for the harpoon launcher to focus fire. Subei still has a chance to fix the entry. He is going to refresh the other 3 lights first. If there is no better one, fix the mark the advanced sharks swimming around the island, and you can kill them with your hands. At the same time, the marked shark will also illuminate the surrounding sea area, which is convenient for Du Ling and Juan Menaiu to attack. While thinking, Subei refreshed the other 3 light spirits one by one. Then, of course, no suitable entry appeared. It can't be said that it is bad, but it is not suitable for combat. For example, there is a light spirit that has an excellent level of strong light, which can increase the light intensity and speed up the growth of plants. But does it help in combat? Very small. So after some operations, Subei decided to fix the mark. Even if he is lucky, the shark group will arrive tomorrow morning. It is not a loss. In the days to come, there will always be night battles. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. 39. After fixing the mark entry, this light spirit's body also became solid. second only to Zhao Shan. But this is normal. Zhao Shan's entry is an epic flash, and this light is an excellent level. Su Bei originally wanted to name this new light a little mark to distinguish it. However, it was strongly stopped by Zhuan Menaiu. She is concerned about Su Bei's ability to name names. Zhuan Menaiu suggested, island owner, simply calling Ziaji can be considered a lucky draw. 35 Su Bei nodded, this name is good, I will be called Ziaji in the future. Guangling. Ziaji breathed a sigh of relief. Although it does not have much requirements for the name, it can also feel that Ziaji is much better than Xiaobiao. Zhao Shan and Ziaji stayed on guard, and the other three light spirits returned to the island, continuing to emit light and promote the growth of plants. Zhuan Menaiu said, island owner, elemental creatures are not enough. In fact, Su Bei also discovered this problem. It's good to say that the earth spirit can create a split body, and the growth rate of the land is not counted. But light and water are not enough. Especially Guangling, Zhao Shan and Ziaji will basically join the defense system later. If there are only 3 light spirits, it is too difficult to fully illuminate all the plants on the island. Even if it is close to those more advanced plants, it is somewhat stretched. However, in addition to the natural birth of an elemental creature like light spirit, the only way to increase it is to use the recruitment scroll. After thinking about it, Su Bei decided to contact Shen Qingling. Anyway, making 1 IOU is a call, and making 2 is a call. Simply ask for some more recruitment scrolls back. Even if hunting sharks is not profitable, don't worry about not getting enough. The big deal is to hand over the silver level sea snake, not only to make up the arrears, but also to have a balance. Thinking of this, Su Bei immediately calmed down and sent a message to Shen Qingling, I want some recruitment scrolls. Shen Qingling was also very arrogant, and replied directly, the unit price of bronze quality is 1 million, the silver quality is 5 million, and the gold quality is not, how much do you want? Happy. Su Bei was also very energetic, and replied, 10 pieces of each of the light spirit and the water spirit, the bronze quality is fine. The qualities of elemental creatures represent their potential to some extent. With the blessing of the entry, bronze quality light spirits and water spirits can also be upgraded to the silver level. Completely adequate at this stage. Later, when Su Bei is promoted to the silver level and can add a second entry, the quality of these elemental creatures can be improved twice, and there is no need to worry about not keeping up with the rhythm. Okay. 99 Shen Qingling was also a cheerful person, and directly placed it on the recruitment scroll and sent it over. After Su Bei received it, he clapped his hand and used it in place. Then the new light and water spirits were scattered all over the island. With their addition, the original little guys suddenly felt a lot easier. The price is that Su Bei has another 20 million in debt. Why, do you feel like you're losing money all the time? Su Bei pinched his chin and thought to himself. After dinner, Su Bei and Zhuan Menaiu continued to be on high alert. Time passed slowly, and soon it was midnight. At this time, the sea also became unstable. And the sound of clattering, countless sea fish came from a distance, and the number was so large that Su Bei was a little surprised. With such a dense school of fish, it is possible to catch several with just a single throw of a pole. There is no possibility of the air force at all. But the more solemn Su Bei's expression became. The island has moved for 10 hours, almost 35 nautical miles. As a result, the schools of fish under the sea were still so dense and frightening, it seemed that the size of the sharks should not be underestimated. Schools of fish swam quickly from both sides of the island, with no intention of staying at all. Su Bei decisively turned on all the searchlights. Anyway, there are many batteries, so don't worry about running out of energy. The light must now be maintained. Under the light of the searchlight, Su Bei saw scarlet blood mixed in the sea water. Subsequently, the blood gradually spread, dyeing the sea area around the island red. Look, there! Zhuan Menaiu exclaimed and pointed to the sea in the distance. The searchlight also shifted in time. Very far away, numerous dorsal fins appeared on the sea surface. Approaching at super high speed. The sharks appeared, Advertisement Chapter 97 The Sea of Death. Subei glanced and saw 5 or 6 different kinds of sharks. Grades range from black iron to bronze. The number exceeds 100. And this is just the vanguard of the shark group, the type that swims faster. The shark group has not appeared yet. But even so, the momentum is already very vast. What floated along the ocean currents were all the wreckage of sea fish, and among them were the corpses of many native races or demonized creatures. Of course, there are also many shark carcasses. Obviously, the two sides have fought countless times in the hunting along the way. But in general, the shark group occupies an absolute dominant position. They are numerous and aggressive. Ordinary sea fish are no match at all. Even native races, when facing sharks, have to shy away, but if they slip slower, they will become prey. Ready to fight. Subei gave the order. The people on the island immediately became busy. Under the leadership of Avina, the flower fairies controlled their harpoon launchers and aimed at the sea in the distance. Beside them is the rock soldier team led by the gem cat. They specialize in harpooning the launcher. With the flower fairy small arms and legs, the use of the launcher is already the limit, and it is really difficult for them to quickly reload the harpoon. 500 meters ahead of the launcher position were Du Ling and Zhuan Menaiu. They are the main force of clearing miscellaneous, responsible for long-range skill coverage. Among them, Du Ling's venom attack is the main one. Zhuan Menaiu made up for the knife and killed the dying sharks. Xiaji is also here, and it will mark the bronze shark for the first time, so that the flower fairies can launch a salvo attack. Subei stood on the shore with the dragon Yin sword in his hand. Those silver-level sharks will be devastated by him. Augur was relatively relaxed. He carried a long fishing rod and was responsible for dragging the shark carcass to the island. Under Subei's control, the island had stopped moving, and turned around, pointing its tip towards the direction of the shark's attack. This minimizes impact damage. And when I merged with Lizard Island before, Subei specially adjusted it, and the underwater rock formation here is the thickest. If the sharks want to punch hard, then they will know whether their heads are hard or rock hard. As soon as the preparations were completed, the sharks in the distance arrived after chasing the sea fish. Kill 99. Subei gave an order, and Du Ling took the lead. Several groups of highly poisonous energy balls flew out and submerged into the distant sea. Du Ling's ability has several effects. This time, it is mainly based on ecstasy toxin. As long as the sharks are in chaos, their impact will be greatly reduced. Those bronze-level sharks will also be hindered, and their swimming speed will be reduced, thereby increasing the hit rate of the flower fairy in disguise. Golem. Dark green energy balls spread out in the sea water, and several black iron sharks had just entered the area, and after swimming a few meters, they turned their stomachs and stopped moving. Their corpses drifted along the current to the island, and Dog swung his fishing rod to drag the big guys to the shore. The Earth Spirit and the Split Body control the Earth to be turned into a conveyor belt and transport the shark carcass to the rear. The bowstring sounded twice, and the magic iron arrow flew out with the wind system ability attached, killing the dying iron fin shark. On their heads, there is a penetrating wound with a diameter of 30 centimeters, which penetrated from the skull and flew out from the abdomen. Such heavy damage, combined with the toxins in the ocean, took their lives in an instant. Hundreds of sharks rushed in from a distance, and dozens of them died on the spot. And the rest, most of them swam by and continued to chase the fish. Only those who are close will turn around and attack. Then it was seconds. Subei didn't even have to shoot. Everyone under his command had already performed their duties and controlled the battle. But this is just the beginning. After the vanguard troop, the sea in the distance seemed to boil, and the sound of the waves roared. The searchlights have all been concentrated on the sea. Countless sea fishes came along the ocean currents, mighty and mighty. Behind them are the shark dorsal fins that break open the water. Quantity is immeasurable. Subei felt the island shaking under his feet. The density of sea fish is too high. They come downstream and are carried forward. There are many sea fish that have no room to move at all and crash on the underwater rocks of the island. Every second, dozens or hundreds of marine fish die. Among them, there are many big guys that are more than 10 meters long. The continuous impact passed over making Sube clearly feel the vibration. If it weren't for the fusion of the rocks of Lizard Island, the tenacity seaweed was attached. Under the impact of this level, how can ordinary islands withstand? I am afraid that when the battle is over, the area will be greatly reduced. Even a direct crash is possible. The strong bloody smell stimulated the sharks that were chasing behind, and they went crazy, roaring and rushing forward, devouring their flesh and blood. So the fish in front escaped faster. In this chase, the island is under great pressure. And this is still the edge of the ocean current. If it is the central area, it is difficult to imagine what the scene will be. I am afraid that only the deep sea is a safe area. Unfortunately, the ability of the island to move is already the limit, and there is no possibility of evolving into a submarine for the time being. Sube gathered his thoughts and stood on the bank with a calm expression. With a casual blow, the gust of wind slashed out, splitting the shark that came straight to the island in half. As for Du Ling and Zhuan Menyu, their firepower was already on full blast, urging their abilities to attack. Du Ling did her best to maintain the concentration of venom in a specific area, which has reached the maximum interference. Any shark that entered that sea area would be confused. They attacked the same kind and caused some confusion. The subsequent sharks rushed over and smashed into a ball. Then continued to be interfered by the mysterious 587 soul toxin and joined the queue of cannibalism. The vision here caught the attention of the advanced shark. Several bronze sharks accompany them, ready to look for an opportunity to attack. Xiaoji immediately used the marker. Sharks glowing with light stand out in the dark. The flower fairies controlled the launcher and fired salvos at Avina's command. The bronze-level harpoon flew out with a high-pitched sound. Of the 10 harpoons, 7 shot in the air and landed around the target shark. It can't be completely said to shoot in the air. Because the density of the shark group was too high. Although these harpoons missed the target, they also shot the unlucky egg next to them. The barbs on the top of these harpoons pop out and spin and cut with the force of the impact, breaking huge holes in the sharks. The bronze-level shark hit by 3 harpoons had no resistance at all and died on the spot. A salvo. The effect is outstanding. The flower fairies cheered. The rock soldiers began to install harpoons, and Avina warned his companions, "The battle is not over yet, we have to fight for our new home." Yes, fight for the homeland. The flower fairies have high fighting spirit, and when the launcher is loaded, another round of salvo is fired. This time, the result was even better. 2 bronze-ranked sharks were killed. The bodies floated up and down in the waves and were salvaged ashore by Augur. Sube looked at the pile of shark carcasses, took stock of the proceeds, and smiled. Turn big. Advertisement. Chapter 98. Others fear me to increase positions. While Sube was hunting sharks, the newcomer chat area also exploded. Those island owners in the ocean current area were horrified to discover that the surrounding seawater was turning red. Asangawamo, why are there so many sharks? Bangtsai country and Chengping, there are a lot of fish, and even many rare species. I'm going to make a fortune. Fusion country, Tamorashiki, idiot, what other fish are you catching? Hurry up and see if there are shark fins in the distance. Bangtsai country and Chengping, yes, and there are many. My island is shaking, and it's starting to crumble. Dragon Kingdom, Yanuanhua, brother Bangtsai, you are going well all the way. Lighthouse country David, now is the breeding season of sharks, they will concentrate on hunting to replenish energy. If the island is in their path, it is very dangerous. Fuso country, Sukalkota, ha, fishing. That is our tradition, whether it is sharks or sea fish, all of them are made into sashimi. Fusion Kingdom, Akama Yudo, I have already started to act. I bought a harpoon urgently, this time I will definitely make a lot of money. The sun never sets. Weavered, the storm has just ended, how come the sharks are here again, and there is no way for people to live? Dragon Kingdom Zhao Hongyai, what are you afraid of? Sharks only appear in the ocean current area, and the range is limited. Most island owners can't meet them. If they do, it can only be said that they are bad luck. Lighthouse country Richard, yes, the Dragon Country Islander is right. This time the shark swarm was different from the previous storm. The storm is covering most of the island world. In order to hunt more efficiently, Shark groups are concentrated in the area of ocean currents, and other places are basically unaffected. In the vast ocean, the area that the ocean current passes through is only a few. The ones who shouted loudest in the chat area were the island owners in the ocean current area. But if you look closely, there are actually not many people. At least compared to all the apprentice island owners, the proportion is not large. Naturally, this matter was passed on to the special team. Actually, this is not surprising. Because the sharks run wild once a year. When Shen Qingling was looking for her to buy a harpoon at Subei, he guessed that he was in the ocean current area. I wondered whether the guy's luck was good or bad. To put it bluntly, he was the first to become a trainee island owner, and he had a smooth journey and rushed the island rating to more than 1,600. No, it's 1007. In the afternoon, I didn't know what the guy was doing, but the area of the island increased a bit, and the rating also increased a lot. But to put it okay, it doesn't seem to count. He always encounters all kinds of strange things. Shen Qingling was very curious and wanted to go to Subei's island to see what was going on. But she also knows that the coordinates of the island are secret, and she and Subei can have a good relationship, but they haven't reached the point where they can exchange coordinates. This time when Subei encountered a group of sharks, Shen Qingling suddenly had a feeling. That guy's island rating may soar again. This feeling makes no sense. After all, when encountering a shark group, even the official island owner will have a headache, and the car will overturn if it is not done. But she has absolute confidence in Subei. While thinking about it, Shen Qingling took another 200 bronze-level harpoons from the Special Affairs Team warehouse. After Subei finds her, she will be able to teleport to her as soon as possible. This is not very normative, but Shen Qingling also has a good reason. This is called strategic investment. Shen Qingling said secretly. That guy is definitely going to hunt sharks, but how can 100 harpoons be enough? I'll prepare it first, and when he speaks again, the price will increase. 99. Yes, that's it. Shen Qingling did some mental activity, but she didn't know who she was trying to persuade. And in fact, her preparations were quite correct. As Subei found out, there were too many sharks. Not to mention those of the black iron level. 3 of them can be killed by throwing a stone. Even bronze level sharks can be seen everywhere. The Flower Fairy has completed 5 rounds of salvos and killed more than a dozen bronze level sharks. But for the overall number reduction, there is not much effect. At this time, it was only 5 minutes before the shark group appeared. Have to add more harpoons. Subei concluded and quickly sent Shen Qingling a message. Is there any stock of harpoons? Shen Qingling was waiting for these words, and immediately replied, yes. Is 200 sticks enough? 35 not enough. Pass it over first. You can help me prepare 500 more, and the transmitters are also ready to be replaced. It may not be able to withstand it. It is good. Handing the newly delivered harpoon to Tu Ling, it was transported to the launcher's position. Subei threw a gust of wind and chopped up the bronze-level shark that was trying to sneak attack. He felt that there were silver-level sharks watching secretly and commanding the battle at the same time. Although this sounds unscientific. But the creatures in the island world, even sharks, actually possess a lot of wisdom after the level is raised. Silver-level sharks are fully qualified to command battles. If there is a little more variation, it is really smart and close to the demon. All Subei had to do was to find it out and hack it to death. But the guy was very cautious and hid his own traces among the sharks. Even if Subei's eyes were like electricity, it wasn't perspective after all. Coupled with such a chaotic situation, he has never been able to lock the opponent's position. But Subei is not in a hurry. He knew that the first person to lose his temper must be the other party. The Flower Fairy in the high place fired another round of salvos, and once again won many. Subei was alert and immediately gave Zhao Shan an order. Blaze. 35. Boom. A dazzling white light erupted in the dark night, illuminating everything around. In the midair, there was a black shadow with a body length of more than 10 meters, which was simply a giant. It just broke the water surface, with huge inertia, over a distance of 100 meters, and flew towards the center of the island. Looking at this posture, It is preparing to crush all the flower fairies to death. Then return to the deep sea by the impact force. Tsubei naturally could not tolerate such a thing happening. The legs exploded with infinite power, stomping heavily on the beach. The shockwave spread with the foothold as the center, causing Og to stand a little unsteady. The sea fish collided for a long time without cracking the island. As a result, Tsubei stepped down and almost crushed a corner of the island. But because of this, Tsubei also obtained an explosion of speed beyond imagination. His body soared into the sky like a cannonball, and in the stunned eyes of the silver-ranked shark, he rushed to the front in an instant. This is a silver intermediate steel hammer shark, known for its hammer-like head. Originally, I wanted to take the position of the flower fairy by surprise, but I didn't expect a human to fly by. The steel hammer shark let out a roar and swung its body, ready to kill Tsubei first, and then crush the flower fairy. But Tsubei's moves are faster than that. Danwu, Demon's Lair. The swift knife light erupted in the air, cutting the steel hammer shark into two pieces. However, the steel hammer shark has tenacious vitality, and even so, it did not die completely. Instead, he took his last breath, trying to bite Tsubei into his mouth. With its mouth full of sharp teeth, it can absolutely grind this hateful human into a puree. Master, be careful. Aviana's exclamation came from the ground. She flapped her wings and flew, trying to push the hammer shark away. This is obviously not possible. The steel hammer shark is about 15 meters long, and even if it is cut into two pieces, the remaining 7 or 8 meters of body, Li Qianzhou, is not something Aviana can shake. Tsubei was in the air and shouted, "You retreat, I'm fine." After he finished speaking, he urged the power again, and waved the dragon yin sword to release the gale slash. The skin of the steel hammer shark was cut open, and the air blade penetrated into the flesh. However, its size is really huge, and the wind slash can be used to the extreme, and its body cannot be cut into grams. Tsubei exerted his strength again in the air and kicked the hammer shark on the forehead. It kicked the fish head, which was more than 10 tons, away from the original route, landed diagonally, and rolled out a deep ditch on the ground. Fortunately, Tsubei kicked into the clearing. Otherwise, this will be enough to cause the plants on the island to be wiped out. The fish head was kicked away, but the fish tail landed on the launcher position. If the flower fairies hadn't moved in time, they would have been wiped out in one fell swoop, and that would have been a real loss. However, the flower fairy survived, but the harpoon launcher position was completely destroyed, and it would take at least half an hour to rebuild it. The hammer shark was beaten, but it was also considered to have completed the tactical goal. After losing the harpoon launcher position, the next battle will be more difficult. Advertisement Chapter 99 Drift Chest and Mermaid, Earth Spirit and Splinter have new missions. They will move the tail of the hammer shark to the clearing, and then build a hill out to rebuild the harpoon launcher position. This process takes half an hour. During this period, those bronze sharks could only be solved by Tsubei. Actually, this is not a big problem. According to Tsubei's perception, after killing this silver-level steel hammer shark, there is no second silver-level shark nearby for the time being. But this is normal. After all, this is the edge area of ocean currents, dominated by black iron and bronze sharks. One silver-level shark is enough to take a seat. More is a waste. And other silver-level sharks will not be happy to come here. How much prey is here? The level is not high. It's better to go to the central area and hunt higher-level sea fish, or native races. In addition, the sharks would never have imagined that on this unremarkable island, there are werewolves who can fight over 2 ranks. The hammer shark just suffered from empiricism. It perceives that the highest level on the island is the bronze level. So feel at ease and boldly jump out of the sea, and want to come out of Mount Tai and then retreat calmly. Then it was killed in mid-air. The sharks are a little riotous. The big brother who took the lead was smashed. What should I do now? But soon, they gave up thinking. The momentum of the shark swarm was unstoppable, and any shark that stopped to think would be torn to shreds by his companions. The sharks finally remembered their original purpose. They are here to hunt and store energy, not to attack the island. The sharks in the distance turned around and moved forward again along the current. However, if you are close, You can only continue to attack. They are blocked by the island and have nowhere to go. And a large number of sea fish crashed and died on the cornerstone of the island. And those were already made food. There are some sharks who want to steal 590 lazy, so they are going to come over and eat 2 bites quietly. But the price paid for this is a bit painful. Du Ling and Zhuan Menaiu's attacks never stopped, constantly reaping the lives of sharks. Floating on the sea were all corpses. The smell of blood lingered on the tip of the nose. Lingering. Auger was too busy to touch the ground. The fishing rod in his hand has been broken several times, but compared to this loss, the gain is very considerable. 20 bronze-ranked sharks were dragged up, and there were even more black iron-ranked sharks, already breaking 100. There must be more than this number of dead sharks. But many sharks stayed far away and were carried away by the ocean currents. Some are shredded and cannot be recycled. However, these are just enough to cover all of Subei's debts, and there are still balances. Mainly the silver-grade steel hammer shark. Just cut some skin off. It is an excellent material for making leather armor. It may not be possible to make silver-level leather armor, but bronze level is definitely not able to run. Such a huge steel hammer shark is more than enough to be 100 pieces of leather armor. That's tens of millions of dollars. Its flesh and blood value is not low. Silver level sharks, no matter how bad the taste is, can also cause crazy grabs. And the value of bronze and black iron sharks is not low. That's why Subei let Auger specialize in recovering shark carcasses. The trouble caused by the hammer shark was quickly dealt with. After Subei appeased the flower fairy, he returned to the edge of the island again, armed with a knife. All the sharks who dared to approach the island were killed by the gust of wind. Beating, Subei noticed a different light on the sea in the distance. It turned out to be a treasure chest. Still silver. Good guy, can this thing be picked up too? Subei was startled and beckoned Auger to recycle. And the appearance of this silver-level treasure chest seems to be a signal. 2 minutes later, another silver-level treasure chest floated from a distance. There are also 2 bronze-level treasure chests next to it. Auger, hurry up. Don't let a treasure chest go. Subei shouted excitedly. If he hadn't had to guard against shark attacks, he would have joined the treasure chest collection. The quality of the treasure chests that floated over was not high, but this kind of feeling of being picked up in vain cannot be bought with money. Auger was also surprised. Treasure chests can still float from the sea? But doubts turned into doubts, and the swinging action did not stop. Auger may not be a professional fisherman, but he has the strength of a bronze subordinate, and his control of power is in place. With a flick of the hook, the fish hooked on the treasure chest, and then it was pulled back. However, this process is a little troublesome. Because the fish would hit the treasure chest. Those fishing rods were so bad before. In addition to marine fish, sharks also attack. Fortunately, the recycling process was almost without danger, and the treasure chests on the beach gradually increased. Stacked together, it is spectacular. Subei thought that it would be a beautiful thing if he could pick up a treasure chest every day. Moments later, good news came from Avina. The harpoon launcher position has been rebuilt and ready for battle. Xiaoji activated the new ability again and marked the bronze shark. In successive salvos, the number of harpoons is rapidly depleted. However, the results are also remarkable. There are more bronze-level sharks turning white belly on the sea. Auger was sweating profusely. He wants to recover the treasure chest and the bronze shark corpse again, so he can't wait to split himself into 2 to use. Subei contacted Shen Qingling again and took another 200 harpoons. Shen Qingling wanted to know how lively it was at Subei. The harpoon is shot out like no money. According to the news she received, many trainee island owners have died unfortunately. Their island was torn apart by the constant pounding of sharks. The clever person voluntarily gave up his identity as the island owner and returned to Blue Star. But there are also persistence. Then even the people in the island disappeared into the sharks. The damage caused by the shark group this time is not small. But this is the island world. Other island owners outside the current zone are not restless. They can't come across a swarm of sharks. But the constant landing, BHCF, invading monsters also brought great pressure to them. Fighting is the main theme of the island world. Here, There is no real stability. But Tsubei isn't afraid to fight. On the contrary, he felt that the shark group ran wild, and it was okay to come a few more times. There are not many opportunities to pick up treasure chests for no reason. The only fly in the ointment is that no gold level treasure chest has floated over, and the highest is only silver level. Tsubei glanced aside. There are 5 silver treasure chests, 11 bronze treasure chests, and 6 black iron treasure chests. Developed. Tsubei was quite happy in his heart, and he swung his sword more vigorously. The gust of wind roared out, easily slicing the shark that jumped out of the sea in front of him into 3 sections. The battle continues. Tsubei had forgotten how many sea fish were swimming by. Anyway, he had already found Shen Qingling to buy 2 more batches of harpoons. Each time it was 200. As for Du Ling and Zhuan Menyu, the former has exhausted her stamina, so she sat in a safe area and ate an energy bar to recover her stamina as much as possible. Zhuan Menyu is better. Her fighting style isn't purely psychic. On the contrary, the ability is only an auxiliary, which is used to strengthen the penetration of the magic iron arrow. Even though Du Ling was exhausted, Zhuan Menyu still had half of her stamina and was able to continue fighting. It's just that without Du Ling's poison damage, it's not realistic to think about killing black iron sharks efficiently. Zhuan Menyu's one arrow kills one, and it is not as good as Du Ling's poison. But Tsubei didn't pick either. Anyway, this battle has already paid off, and the damage to the island is also within an acceptable range. Kill slowly, it's not a problem. Gradually, Tsubei noticed that the density of the shark population began to decrease. He was enlightened. The large group of sharks have already left along the current, and they will come again. It is estimated that it will be next year. Meow meow meow. The gem cat rushed over with the rock soldier. Tsubei's scalp felt numb. Every time this guy calls out, something extra happens. What is it this time? The jewel cat raised its front paws and pointed to the sea in the distance. Tsubei looked in the direction. Good, can't see clearly. The searchlight hit the past, and the small flash also released a burst flash. Tsubei finally saw the scene in the distance. A mermaid was wrapped in air bubbles and floated among the sharks. The surrounding sharks attacked desperately, trying to burst the bubbles, but the progress was slow. But Tsubei knew that the bubble wouldn't last long either. The surface is already covered with cracks. After pondering for a moment, Tsubei decided to go to the rescue. Mermaids are the top native race in the island world. Many underwater cities have been established on the bottom of the sea, and their powers are very wide. If a mermaid dies near his island, things get trickier. The consequences are more serious than the death of the flower fairy. And what really made Tsubei decide to rescue is that mermaids are masters at taming sea beasts. Tsubei wanted to form an underwater force to deploy around the island and give early warning. The original plan was to gradually increase the number of marine life by fixing entries. For example, all kinds of turtles and sea fish are good choices as long as they are not corroded by demonic energy. It's just too inefficient. Tsubei's daily entry opportunities are not enough now, and he wants to set up a guard force, but I don't know, it will be the year of the monkey. But now an opportunity lies ahead. If you can conquer this mermaid and use her abilities, you can complete the plan ahead of time. This is obviously very profitable. And if Tsubei guessed right, the mermaid must have been separated from her companions. To subdue her, you don't have to worry about your companions coming to the door in a short time. So this mermaid, saved. However, it is obviously too late to let the island drive past. Tsubei sprinted across the sea with the Longian sword in hand, rushed over with the afterimage, and with just a few knives, chopped the surrounding sharks to death. Then he punched the bubble and ran away carrying the mermaid. The mermaid in the bubble was dumbfounded. This is a bubble that can resist a silver level attack, but it can't stop this human punch? The mermaid wanted to say something more, but the drifting all the way exhausted her, and she fainted directly. Advertisement Chapter 100 Post-war arrest. When carrying the mermaid back to the island, Tsubei had already asked the Earth Spirit and the Water Spirit to cooperate and set up a water pool in a safe area. After placing the mermaid, Tsubei joins the battle again. It can be seen that Tsubei's act of saving the mermaid made the shark very angry. More than a dozen bronze sharks swam at the same time, and they tended to wash directly ashore and Sub-K. Immediately, 4 of them were killed by flying harpoons. Juan Menaiu fired arrows in succession, killing a few more. By the time these bronze-ranked sharks reached the shore, only 3 were left alive. Sube didn't even look at them, and went up to end the battle with a gust of wind. It can only be said that these 3 sharks are too sensible. They hit the air blade and were split in half from head to tail. So far, the battle has basically come to an end. After the main force of the shark group passed by, the rest was some soy sauce. Low grade. And looking at the tiredness of their swimming, Sube speculates that these sharks have been unable to keep up with the rhythm due to physical decline. In other words, they are old. Even if Sube doesn't kill them, these sharks will be exhausted by chasing large groups and become food for fish and shrimp. Rather than die in obscurity, it is better to become his strong cornerstone. With such a noble idea in mind, Sube spared no effort to run on the sea and kill these sharks. Hog was in charge of throwing a stick on the shore and dragging the shark carcass back. The 2 work together very well. When these jobs are over, the battle is over. There was nothing to see on the sea except the corpses that floated up and down with the waves. Whether it was the sea fish fleeing in embarrassment or the ferocious shark, they all disappeared into the ocean currents. They will keep going until the shark is full. But that has little to do with Sube. Anyway, the shark group will not turn back. When they reappear next year, if Sube's island is still in the current zone, the sharks will know what cruelty is. Sube has this confidence. With the searchlight set to a rotating light mode, Sube began to clear the battlefield. In this battle, apart from a little disturbance caused by the silver-level steel hammer shark, there was no additional danger. Du Ling regained some physical strength and came with Juan Menaiu. Islander, the battle is over. Sube nodded and said, yeah, it's over. Immediately, Sube laughed at himself. I pride myself on being lucky, but in the end I encountered a storm and then encountered a swarm of sharks, which is really too lucky. Unger came over with a fishing rod, heard this, and said seriously, Islander, on the other hand, we have also received rich rewards, haven't we? After that, Unger excitedly stroked his beard and said, there are so many sharks, enough to create hundreds of sets of equipment. More than that. Aviana's voice came from the side. Aviana and the flower fairies hovered in front of Sube and saluted gracefully. My lord was bothered by the previous battle. Sube waved his hand and said, no need to say more, as the island owner, I should protect you. Then, Sube began to arrange tasks. Og, you and the earth spirit recovered the shark corpses and placed them separately according to different races. 35 Du Ling and Juan Menaiu, stay alert. I know you're tired, but I'll stick to it. 1 Du Ling and Juan Menaiu immediately straightened their bodies and said proudly, Island owner, rest assured, we are not tired. 9 Very good. 33 Sube nodded, and then arranged, Avena, you take the clans back to rest and stand by, and there should be no large-scale battles in the follow-up. 35 Yes, my lord. Avena bowed and saluted, then left with the excited flower fairies. When the flower fairies left, they were still talking a lot. I killed 2 big sharks, too. That's nothing, I hit 5, it seems that I have the aptitude of a marksman. Fishing is fun. 66. 99 Sube could not laugh or cry. These flower fairies are really not nervous. But he also knows that this race is like this, and he doesn't care much. Meow meow meow. Gemcat ran over. It brings a message. The mermaid woke up. Sube originally wanted to open the treasure chest, so he contacted Shen Kingaling and sent Shark to pay back the debt. But since the mermaid is awake, it's priority to ask for information. Sube was still very interested in why the mermaid appeared and was besieged by sharks. In addition, it's past midnight now, so if you really can't do it, just fix the entry, so as not to be afraid that the mermaid will turn the sky upside down. Thinking of this, Sube said, you guys deal with the battlefield first, I'll go and see. 35 Du Ling and the others dispersed. While Sube walked over with a gemcat. He found that he couldn't let this guy run around again, otherwise he might find something else. Meow meow meow. The gemcat was so angry. It has done deeds for the island, It can't be treated like this. Ask for flowers. With a flick of Subei's wrist, the jewel cat flew to his shoulder. Here, the gem cat seems to have found a familiar feeling and settled down. But looking at its eager eyes, it wanted to lie on Subei's head. After all, in normal times, the gem cat is just lying on the head of the rock soldier to patrol the island. Subei gave a look. Means you dare. The gem cat died immediately. It's not afraid of anything, it's just afraid of Subei. When the eyes of one person and one cat were interacting, Subei also came to the pool. The mermaid that was rescued before was already awake, although she looked weak, her expression was alert. Subei looked at the attribute panel. Name, Eleanor. Race, Mermaid. 0 level, Bronze. Advanced skills, 1, Water control. 2, Taming. 3, Song of the Siren. Description: the top native race in the island world, with the ability to deceive people. Subei was startled. This mermaid is actually quite high. However, even though it has a high level of bronze, it does not make much sense when facing sharks. There are too many sharks. And the bronze level is not in the minority. It's not easy for this mermaid to survive until now. Collecting his thoughts, Subei put on a soft smile and said, "Eleanor, where are you from?" The mermaid Eleanor was startled. How could the human in front of her know her name? But Eleanor still remembers the scene where Subei killed the shark before, knowing that at least this human is not the enemy. Although he shattered the bubble with a punch from the back, he was not malicious, he just wanted to resist her. In the blink of an eye, Eleanor gradually calmed down, flicked her tail, and said, "Human, thank you for your rescue before." Subei relaxed slightly. At least this mermaid is still sane and has no indiscriminate seizures. Since the other party is willing to talk, let's not fix the entry first and see the situation. Thinking of this, Subei asked again, "Eleanor, how did you get here?" "You should know that the currents are full of sharks, right?" Mermaid Eleanor's pretty face flushed, and she said embarrassedly with her tail, I fell asleep, and when I woke up, I found that there were sharks all around." 996699. Subei looked up at the sky, speechless. This reason is very powerful. Advertisement. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.